I'm your host, Tonya TKO. I'm a self-love specialist from TonyaTKO.com. I help you learn how to love yourselves and one another. Tonight, we're doing a watch party of the Who the F Did I Marry saga. Last night, we watched part 1 through 15. She took a break because it was her birthday. And so we took a break and then we came back today. And today, we're going to be watching part 16 through 30, depending on how the story kind of finishes out around the 30 mark. And then tomorrow we'll be doing 30 to 50. And then I hear that she has some additional footage, that she did some lives. And then now the guy has come out and some ex-wives and ex-girlfriends have come out to corroborate the story. The guy says people are lying on him. There's a lot going on, but I just want to get through the story. Apparently, this is the 2024 cult classic that is starting at the top of the year. So we are watching this because we want to be in the know, because everybody has been talking about this and everybody will be talking about this. And this is one of those situations where people are going to be talking about this. Just like, I remember, you remember 2007? Who was it? Daisy Takes a Tumble? I don't remember, but she was standing on the table singing. And then she fell, and then there was the Two Girls, One Cup, and there was a lot of things that came out back in the days that were cult classics. And this right here is a internet cult classic, and we have to watch it just to be in the know. So, the rules for tonight's broadcast is to look internally. This is not about her. There's no need to be criticizing her, and I won't tolerate it on the live or in the comments afterwards. I need you to look within yourself and figure out what you can do differently in your life. Because at the end of the day, she has to figure out what she needs for her life. When she hires me as her life coach, I'll help her examine herself. But other than that, if you're on my channel, you're going to be coached by a life coach. That's the difference between me and other people, because this is not about tearing her down. This is, if you don't like the way Kevin Samuels did things, mocking, ridiculing, trying to humiliate people while folks sat around salivating, laughing, and throwing money his way. If you don't like the way that was done, be different. And we're different over here. So what I want us to do is to really look for the self-love lessons, but there's going to be a quiz at the end. So I want you to look and see, what is it for your own life? Can you take from this to see what it is that you want for your own life? All right, so let's jump into the video now. Let's do it. If you're ready, I'm ready.
Videos, and I talk about how I had to change my name back to my maiden name, but I changed my name within about 3 days of getting married. My attitude was, this is the bed that I made. I'm gonna do right by him. I'm gonna do right by my marriage. I took marriage seriously, and when I married him, I absolutely married him thinking, I'm going to be with you for the next 40, 50 years. So we're going to have to figure this shit out. That was my mindset. I did not get married to turn around and be divorced in 6 months. But I got married January 5th, 2021. And by January 31st, I knew I was in serious trouble. So that is where we are. The next set of videos, the next set of all this will be me talking about how things went downhill before it crashed and I found everything out. In the meantime, tomorrow is my birthday. So, happy birthday to me.
All right, so this is where we're
Did I
picking
make it?
up.
This
All right.
is the interlude, basically. I'm not recapping on this video. I'm just kind of answering some stuff that has been written to me. Someone was like, why are you airing your business out on social media? It's a valid question. For me personally, I feel like this was traumatic to experience, to live through. And I'll expound on that on another video, the aftermath of the toll that this took. Honestly, and I know some people are going to be like, that sounds crazy. It is kind of cathartic to get this out, because I cannot tell you how much of this has been internalized since 2020.
All right, somebody's saying her volume is low. This is the highest that, the only thing that I can do is turn my volume down, because this is the highest that the volume will go for her. I checked all of the things. I did think it was a little low, so I'll turn myself down. Let me know when I'm about her volume. What about right now? Is my volume about the same as hers? Because I need you to turn yours up. Let me know how my volume is in comparison to hers.
Also, I don't want to seem like a cautionary tale to other women or to men for that matter, but to my sisters, to my ladies, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, doesn't matter. If something does not sit right with you, investigate it. I cannot stress that enough. If just one woman watches these videos and she's like, you know what, something don't sit right with me, let me look into this, then it was worth it. Yes, it is a Lifetime movie. Yes, it is Netflix. Yes, it is crazy. Yes, it is hilarious also. And I understand all of those reactions. As someone who lived it, it was traumatic. But I feel like, God, it feels good to finally admit what the fuck I went through. And again, by the time this is uploaded, I'm only to January of 2021, right after getting married. So when I think back on it, there's things that I'm very, very grateful for. There are things that I'm just like, why? Why did you not pay attention? Why did you not question? And the sad part is, I can't even begin to tell you, I don't remember the woman I was before I met that man. I don't remember. Because going through something like that, it changes you. And I've seen some women in the comments who were like, I was married to a habitual liar. I was married to a pathological liar. My baby daddy's a pathological liar. And my heart goes out to them, because until you have dealt with someone so depraved, you really don't quite know how bad it can get. So I'm fully aware that this was a risk, putting this out on social media, telling my story, my truth, and really kind of being like, look, this is what I went through. I made dumb decisions. I overlooked things I should not have overlooked. I argued away things I should not have argued away. I can pinpoint exactly the moment I should have left. I still feel like God is sitting on the throne and he's like, I never planned for your monkey ass to marry him. I never even planned for you to go out and date with him. That's why I blew your tire. But you hard-headed and you went anyway. And then I tried to go ahead and show you signs. You ignored them. Like, I feel like God did everything to help me as his child be like, this is not who I created to be your helpmate. And I was like, God, you taking too long. I want to get married. You taking too long. I want to have a family. You taking too long. And these are the consequences that I'm paying for basically telling God, you took too long. And I feel like God's grace is sufficient. It is. But at the same time, and I'm not perfect. I mean, not perfect at all. None of us are. But I do feel like when I sit back and I replay the events that happened, I truly cannot believe that was my story. Because all I wanted was to meet a guy, for him to be my best friend, for us to get married, have a family. I wanted someone I could make fun of his big old forehead, and he make fun of my nappy head and all my wigs, and yet he was my ride or die. I wanted someone that I could be like, man, help me with these kids, and he helped me with the kids. We had a nice home. We were comfortable. That is what I wanted. And I've said this before, and I say it again. I truly hoped it was my turn. You see the women who are, so happy and, they're in these loving marriages and life just looks good. I really, really wanted it to be my turn. And so I excused away a lot of stuff that I hope the next woman who sees this does not excuse, because I don't wish this on anybody. I don't wish this on anyone, to feel the way I felt the moment I discovered the whole truth. So I just wanted to say that, because I think it's important to try to answer the why is she posting this. Honestly, I was tired of holding it in. And I hope it helps somebody. Okay, let's all take a deep breath. Let's all get some sleep. If you don't have anything to do and you just want to wish me happy birthday, wish me happy birthday tomorrow, February 15th. Shout out to Team Aquarius. Good night, y'all. Part 17, who the fuck did I marry? So, for context and just to clarify some stuff, going forward, I'm going to now call my ex-husband, I'm going to use the name that I call him in real life, so that way it clears up the whole fiance, boyfriend, husband, ex-husband thing. So, his name is Legion. Anyone that knows me will tell you that is what I call him. So, Legion and I, when I left off at part 16, part 15, Legion and I got married January 5th of 2021. For the first 2 weeks, things were fine. We got into like a routine, basically. I would go to work, he would go to work. He was still leaving the house at around 6:15 every morning. He was still on the phone with his brother, the one that lived in Philly, every morning. They would just, that was their time to talk. From what I was told, the brother got off work, I guess he must have worked the third shift. And so he was getting off work as Legion was getting ready to go to work. So that was the perfect time for them to talk. He would talk to his brother in Baltimore and the brother in Augusta. Pretty much, just a quick phone call here and there, if not every day, every other day. So everything was pretty much the same. I would talk to my mom almost every day. I would talk to my aunt almost every day. So it was nothing to kind of, that's weird. That's what the morning routine was. He would talk. So I worked at Georgia State Patrol. And I said this in a previous video, but again, there were things I said in previous videos that I remember saying, hey, remember that because it's going to come back later. So I worked at Georgia State Patrol. I had been working there for almost 8 years, 7 or 8 years by the time Legion got into the picture. He was fine with the fact that I worked within law enforcement. I'm not a trooper. I'm not a sworn officer. I'm a civilian. However, again, his dad was a retired police officer. So he was perfectly fine in the beginning with the fact that I worked for Georgia State Patrol. He had been to my office before. He had met some of my co-workers. Obviously, even with COVID, because I still had to go into the office 2 or 3 days a week, he had been up there. So the friend who took me to the hospital when I had my miscarriage has met him. He and I have been to her home with her and her significant other before. So again, even in the world of COVID, when there were little times where you could get together with people, he has met people in my life. He has met my friend, or that particular friend, and he has met some of my coworkers. So when we got married, the first 2 weeks, like I said, was fine. And then it's as if something snapped. Something just changed. What was totally acceptable before, suddenly little comments were made. Why are you wearing that to work? You get off at 3:30, so you'll be home by 5, right? Things that had never happened before. He had never questioned what time I'm going to be home. Really, he didn't need to question it because when I'm off work, I leave. So it was never a situation of, oh, I'm just sit around at work and just run my mouth because I have nothing to do. And then it turned into, he would call me every day from work. And I'm going to demonstrate how those phone calls went. But he would call me every day from work. And if he even so much as heard a male voice in the background, he would have little comments to me. Who was that? Are they in your office? Man, I never know who's around you. Because it seemed like every time I call you, I have a hiccup, sorry. It seems like every time I call you, there's some man around. And I'm just like, at first I kind of shrugged it off. I laughed it off because it really, truly was absurd to me. But then it became a bit more frequent. And so I really just didn't feed into it because I'm like, I don't know if this is some insecurity. I don't know if this is jealousy because
this is what people do when they're trying to isolate you. They make it uncomfortable for you to be around other people. Somebody asked about my popcorn. I grate my salt. I do Himalayan pink salt, Celtic salt mix for the different minerals. And I cover it in MCT oil, a very high grade MCT oil, and some salt. I don't cover it. I just put a little tablespoon on top and then I put the salt on there. That's how I do it. But wow, this is something else.
Nothing has ever been done to make you feel any sort of insecure type of way. I've never entertained another guy, never flirted with another guy. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. So it is also important to note, we got married January 5th. Things started changing around 2 weeks later. And the reason why I know it's 2 weeks is because I had recorded an audio diary on January 21st is the date of the audio diary. And I talk about how maybe I had unrealistic expectations because it seemed as if things were changing with he and I. So 2 weeks pass, he starts making little comments. End of January comes, he informs me that he wants to start looking for a house again. I had no real desire to go through that process. So what he decides is that he's going to look for a house for us using his friend, the realtor, the one I did not meet. So he tells me that he and his friend have been talking and he's going to start looking at houses. And what he's going to do is basically, if he feels like it's a house I would like, then he wants to show it to me because he feels like, I know that your attitude really isn't, you're in the mood to look for a house. So I'm going to start looking. And then if I think it's a great house, then, you can come see it. And I remember thinking, that's not going to work. You're not going to choose a house without me. And he was like, no, I'm not going to choose a house. But I just think that, me and old boy have been talking. And so he has some houses that he is representing. He wants to show me. So why don't you let me look at it? And if it's worth the time, then I'll bring you to look at it. So he already had some sort of plan in place after talking to his friend about how he's going to start looking at houses. This is the end of January 2021. So I kind of threw my hands in the air and was just like, whatever, because I'm not getting emotionally involved in looking at houses. And for me, that's kind of what it was. I felt like I would see a house, I could picture us living there, and then it gets snatched away somehow, some way. I didn't want to go through that. So the reaction that he wanted, which was for me to throw a fit, I did not do. I was just like, okay, all right, like I trust you. And remember that I said the reaction he wanted, because that's going to come back later. So he started looking at houses. Funny enough, the houses that he looked at, none of them I actually saw. But he would call me and say, I'm at this house in Sandy Springs with the realtor friend. Apparently his realtor friend's name was Scott, not to be confused with the other Scott, the one that was actually helping us, that dropped us as clients. I want to make that clear. There were two.
My stomach can't take nutritional yeast. There's different types of nutritional yeast. One of them is fortified. I stopped eating the fortified one years ago because it was fortified with an unnatural, it's fortified with an unnatural version of the vitamin B's. So, or synthetic. So look into your nutritional yeast. So the nutritional yeast that's unfortified, which is the more natural one, it gives me intestinal discomfort. So I don't do nutritional yeast at all. But yeah, let's continue.
Two Scotts. One is the realtor who was representing us, who said, hey, I need proof of funds. If you don't have those proof of funds, I cannot show you any more houses. The other Scott is his friend, who he had talked to on the phone at least 50 to 100 times in front of me. That's the Scott that he said is going to show me this house in Sandy Springs. Apparently the house was like $800,000. So he was like, I think that if I like the house, then I'm gonna bring you out here so you can see it. All right. Now let's go into part 18. Okay, part 18. Who the fuck did I marry? So he starts looking at houses in Sandy Springs, Alpharetta area with his friend Scott. I did not see any of these houses. I did not go. I didn't want to go. So what was starting to change is, remember I said before, he would leave the house every day at around 6:15. He would be home every day between 3:30 and 4 o'clock without fail. It was so, I shouldn't say it was annoying, but I could set my clock by the fact that I would hear that garage door open between 3:30 and 4 o'clock every day that he went to work. Even during lockdown, he still had to go to work. His job was only locked down for maybe a week. For me, I was allowed to work from home, but unfortunately, I did not handle it well. And so I would fall asleep and not check email. So my boss was like, yeah, you're going to have to come back to the office because you're not trustworthy. And I wasn't. I mean, I would watch Netflix and not even be on my computer. So I had to start going back to work every day, 5 days a week. And me and another lady were the only two in there because we were the only two who did not handle work from home properly. Anyway, that's another story. So Legion he started to not come home by 4 o'clock. He started to come home 5:30, 6:30, sometimes 7 o'clock, because he was saying that he was looking at houses after work with his friend Scott. So it definitely was noticed that things are changing. And I just, at this point, kind of emotionally and mentally, I was just like, I don't know what to do. This is the end of January. Remember, I told you in part 15, I got married January 5th. By January 31st, I kind of knew I was in trouble. And by the end of January, sure enough, I knew things were changing in a way that I was like, I hate to sound redundant, but what the fuck is going on? So he's still maintaining the story of looking for a house, looking for a house. I had already let him know my lease is up in August. When my lease is up in August, I am moving to Cobb County. And my attitude was kind of like, you can go with me or you can stay here. I don't care, but I'm moving. I'm leaving Clayton County. The reason why I was so adamant to move was not because of Clayton County. It was not because of the house that I was in. It was because Legion had started to create this narrative that he was beefing with my female neighbor. He was trying to get me to believe that my female neighbor to the left of me somehow was interested in him. And so she would make these little comments, and he would come in the house complaining about her and her music and the fact that she had, different men over to the house. It was driving me crazy. And all of this was kind of starting in January. So when I say that, it really seems like we got married January 5th, and then we had 2 weeks of peace, and then something just snapped. I literally mean something just snapped. So he's looking at houses. Now we're moving into February. February obviously is my birthday month. He did good. He did good to make Valentine. He went all out for Valentine's Day. He went all out for my birthday. My birthday and Valentine's Day are February 14th and February 15th. So he went all out on both days. Y'all ain't even gonna believe this story. But I said I would share even when it makes me look bad. So the weekend after my birthday. And what I mean by that is if my birthday was on a Tuesday, we're talking about Saturday. The weekend after my birthday, he gave me money to go to the nail salon, go get a manicure and pedicure. So I leave the house. I take his car. His car was in the driveway. We had a key to each other's car because, again, we're married at this point. We're talking February 2021. So I take his car and I drive to the nail salon over in Morrow. I'm in the chair getting a pedicure and I get a text message from my husband saying, someone was just at the house looking for you. And I'm like, who was looking for me? Who was it? And he said, I don't know. I think it was some, this is through text. I don't know. I think it was some dude you used to mess with. Okay. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I'm telling you, some guy just came to the house looking for you. I told him you were not here. So at this point, y'all, I'm in the chair at the salon. I'm freaking out because I'm like, who the fuck has the audacity to come to my home unannounced, uninvited, talking about they're looking for me? Especially because before I met my husband, I was working the last shift at Amazon as a part-time job. So I had not dealt with, dated anything with anyone for about a year before I met him in March of 2020. So I really was like, who the hell is this coming to my house? So I finished the pedicure. I head home. Once I get home, I'm like,
You know what? Let me tell you something real quick. There's a content creator who I exposed last year who people are still enamored with and pumping up and all of this other stuff. There were many people who contacted me behind the scenes, and I actually interviewed an ex of this person. And the ex said that this person would do stuff like that, claim that people were at the house, claim that people were outside the window, claim that something happened to the car, all this stuff, a lot of lies. Apparently, there's a lot of sickos out there, and far too many of them are content creators. Listen, I know I'm a content creator, so trust me, there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
what are you talking about? What happened? And so I'm frazzled in a way. And he's calm. He was like, yeah, it was a black Dodge Charger. They pulled into the driveway. They backed in. They backed in as if they had been here before. So clearly this was someone who's been to your house. He got out the car. He said, I opened the door and I went out there and I said, is there something I can help you with? And he said, the guy said, I'm looking for, and gave him my name. And he said, I'm sorry, she's not here. And he was like, oh, okay. All right then. And just got in the car and drove off. And I was like, my brain stopped working because I'm thinking, who the heck could this be? A Dodge Charger? I was like, are you sure that it wasn't law enforcement? Like, was it the sheriff's office trying to serve me with a lawsuit for a credit card I didn't pay? He was like, no, he was in regular clothes. He was like, and it was not a police car. It was on a marked unit, basically. And so I'm just like,
You know what? If you have somebody around that you're not 100% sure about, install some cameras. Because I know if she had a secret camera installed somewhere, she would have saw that there was no damn Dodge Charger.
who the heck could this be? And he was like, I know who it was. And I said, who? He was like, I think it was your ex. I said, what ex? He was like, the one that you had dated for 2 years. Remember back in like part 3, part 4, I told y'all, he told me about his ex. I told him about mine. I thought we were being honest with each other. So now, fast forward to February 2021, and he's telling me, yeah, I think it was the ex that you had been dealing with for those 2 years before you met me. I said, so you think that he showed up to the house uninvited after 2 years? And he was like, well, whoever it was clearly was comfortable backing into our driveway, getting out the car, and was like, I'm here to see, and gave him my name. And so he was like, she's not here. Is there something I can help you with? And the guy was like, nah, it's cool. And then just got in the car and drove off. So again, brain is like, who could this be? So then Legion says to me, you know what? The way that you reacting to this is real suspect. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, you over here freaking out. I told you I took care of it. I told you it was fine. And you over here freaking out, which makes me wonder, what have you been up to? Now, let's go to part 19. Okay, part 18, who the fuck did I marry? So he says to me, the way you're acting is real suspect because I told you it was fine. I took care of it. He was like, I ain't even worried about it. He was like, obviously, that nigga didn't know that you now married, that you've moved on. And so now he knows it. But for me, it was the fact that I don't do pop-ups. Don't come to my house unannounced. So if someone has done that, for me, it automatically feels like a violation and it feels like it needs to be addressed. So it was not as simple as, I already took care of it. It's fine. Let it go. No, we ain't letting nothing go because you don't have my permission to show up to my house. And before this turns into something where I'm going to be on Fox 5 News, I need to address that with you because that is not okay. So he didn't like the reaction I had to the story he told me where someone basically disrespected my home. And he felt like my reaction was really suspect. So, what I'm gonna get into the little details that he did not know about. So he tells me again, it was a black Charger, a black Dodge Charger. They backed into the driveway. A gentleman got out of the car and he asked for me by name, and Legion said she's not here. So, I asked him, what does the guy look like? And he was like, why does it matter? I said, what the fuck does he look like? So Legion proceeds to give me the most generic description you can give. He was like, well, he was shorter than me. Ex-husband is about 6'3", 6'4". He was shorter than me. He was brown skinned. I said, did he have a hat on his head? Mind you, I understand that before marriage, I was a damn fool. I understand that. But every woman has that moment where you only gonna fool her but for so long. And eventually puzzles start coming together. For me, I felt like moving into marriage, certain things started coming together. So I said to him, did he have a hat on his head? He was like, no, he ain't wear a hat. So in my mind, I am mentally going down a list of every possible man it could be. And it was only like 4 men. I had been in that house about 3 or 4 years at this point. So I knew all of the people, and I'm talking about from maintenance down to ex-boyfriends. It was a total of like 4 men. So when he said that it was a black Charger, I immediately was like, okay, I know that crosses out one. He said he was shorter than him. All of them were shorter than him. I said, did he have a hat on his head? He said, no, that crossed out one because one in particular was a maintenance guy who always wore a hat on his head because he had like a bruise or something, and he was just self-conscious about it. So he always wore a hat. That leaves 2. So I said, was he muscular or was he skinny? So Legion's getting all frustrated. I said, just answer the question. He was like, well, he was kind of in between. And I said, okay, he was in between. I said, so was he light skinned or was he dark skinned? He was like, I told you he was brown skinned. I said, was he my complexion? He said, no, he was brown skinned. That eliminates one. So now there's one left. And yes, the one left would have been the ex that I had dated for 2 years. And so he was like, I know it was your ex. I know it was your ex. And I was like, that don't make no sense because the ex that in my mind, I'm saying this, the ex that I had dated, he and I had no contact with each other. And he was not the type to just pop up at your house. That ain't his style. Not to mention, and I ain't tell Legion this, that man would not be caught dead driving a Dodge Charger. He hated Chargers because he drove it as a patrol car. So I didn't say anything. I just was like, that's weird. So what Legion didn't know is that at the time I had a security system. So I had a security system where anytime the front door, the garage door, or the back door was open, basically any entry point, anytime it was open or closed, it would send me a text message notification. So when he's telling me all this, I'm looking at my phone and I see a notification where the front door was opened and it was shut all within the same minute. So for example, if it says front door open at 1 p.m., front door closed at 1 p.m. So whatever he did was within those 60 seconds. He's telling me the story of the guy got out the car. He opened the door. He went out there, can I help you? And the guy said, I'm looking for, and Legion said, no, she's not here. And so he said the guy kind of was like, okay. And he was like, all right, thank you. And got in the car and drove off. Legion has also told me that he watched him drive out of the neighborhood, which means because of the way the house was set up, the townhouse, he would have still been outside watching this. I could be wrong, but something in me was like, that would take more than 60 seconds. So for the door to have been open and shut within the same 60 seconds, I was like, okay. So also what he didn't know, we didn't have a Ring door camera, but my neighbor did. And her Ring door camera caught my driveway. The view of the camera could see my driveway as well as her driveway. And so whoever was coming in the door, our driveways were right next to each other. And then on the other side of it was the grass. So it was a perfect view of my driveway. So she, I text her and I said, hey, were you home? I think I texted her the next day because I said, were you home on Saturday? Da, 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 da. And she said, no, I wasn't. What's up? Everything good? And I said, can you look at your security system and see if there was a car that came to my house at such and such time? And I know I did not tell her the reason I was asking, but I was like, is there any way that your security camera caught if someone came to my house at this time on Saturday? She's like, yeah, sure, I'll look. And so maybe about a couple of hours later, she texted me back and said, hey, I looked at the camera, but I didn't see anything. And I said, okay, by any chance, did it catch if someone maybe walked up the driveway? Like maybe it wasn't a car in the driveway, but someone walked up. She said, I didn't see anything with your driveway yesterday. So I said, okay. And I knew that something in me, again, was like, nobody came to the house. So now here we are, a month and a half married. And now is when I'm like, why the fuck did he make that up? Because no one came to the house. No black Charger came to the house, pulled back into the driveway. Nobody got out the car and asked for me. Nobody was looking for me. So now I was sitting in the bedroom thinking through all this, and I'm like, why the fuck did he make that up? Because that's what happened. I'm looking at the text messages on my phone where he's telling me someone just came to the house looking for you. But no one came.
Listen. Oh my word. Please. This is the second time that I've heard about a person making up a story about an ex coming to the house. If somebody says that to you, because remember, we're watching this to look for things that we can glean for our own lives. If somebody says that to you and they're vague with the description or whatever the case may be, beware.
Came. So what was the purpose of that? And then something said to me, something in me said, he wanted to see your reaction. He just wanted to see the reaction. You had been too calm, and so he wanted to see a reaction. So this man gaslit me like I was Georgia Natural Gas just to get a reaction. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to part 20 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? All right, part 20 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So after the black Dodge Charger incident, things were quiet. Legion was fine. Legion slept just fine. Me, that shit played over in my head for days and days and days. On one hand, I was like, I know nobody came. My head knew nobody came to the house. My heart was like, but maybe he didn't make it up. So the head and the heart were absolutely playing a tug of war because, again, I really couldn't fathom that he was making it up. But nevertheless, I filed it in the back of my mind in my little filing cabinet, my mental filing cabinet. So a few weeks later, we go out to eat at this restaurant in Atlanta. It's a burger place, and I'm going to do my best by the time I post this to put the name of the burger place on the screen. So we go to the burger place, eat dinner, everything was fine. As we are leaving, he says to me, did I ever show you where my grandmother's buried? This is the grandmother that passed away from COVID in 2020. And I said, no. I was like, we haven't been over here. And so he was like, let me show you. So he drives us to the cemetery, which is not far from the restaurant. He drives us to the cemetery, goes around and around, and then it comes to like a little hill in the cemetery. And he was like, you see the headstone? The headstone had like the family name on it. And it did not have, for example, John David Doe. It just had Doe. Okay, so there were no dates on it. So it reminded me of just a headstone where it was probably multiple family members buried underneath it. That's what it reminded me of. And so he was like, my grandfather and my grandmother are buried there. I do recall him telling me when the grandmother died in 2020 that she wanted to be buried next to his grandfather. And so we're sitting in the car because we can see the headstone like on top of the hill from the car. And he tells me that is where his grandmother and grandfather are buried, that the family was able to get her, her wishes were to be buried next to the grandfather. Okay. So as we are leaving, we take a different route home. So we get on the highway. If you're from Atlanta, you'll know what I'm talking about. We get on I-75 North. And we're kind of we're just driving around, to be honest with you. But we're taking the scenic route. We get on I-75 North because the reason why I remember is because when you're on I-75 North going towards Atlantic Station, on the right-hand side, you will see the Varsity. You'll see all these tall skyscraper buildings. One of the buildings has the letters NCR on the building. As we're coming up towards the building, he says to me, do you see the NCR building? I said, yeah. He said, the building behind it, my job bought that building. That's where we're going to have, we're setting up operations. And I was like, why the hell would y'all buy a condiment company in downtown Atlanta? He was like, no, we're not doing production there. It's just going to be offices. And that's where we're going to handle like the business portion. The production is still being done in Gwinnett County out in Duluth. And so I was like, oh, okay. He was like, that's where I keep the company car. So I was like, the company car? I said, aren't you supposed to be bringing the company car home? And he was like, I don't want to bring the company car home because it's Clayton County and it's a $90,000 car. And I don't want no problems. So he's telling me that he keeps the company car at the building downtown Atlanta that's behind the NCR building. I barely could see what building he's talking about, but he was like, it's the building right behind it. And so he's telling me that that's where his office is. So I said to him, take me to your office. I know it's a Saturday, but shit, you wanted the VPs, right? So take me to your office. No, I had not been to his office simply because, again, COVID. So I was like, take me to your office. And he was like, I can. He was like, that's no problem. So do I have the other phone? I do. So y'all are in luck. So I can maybe reenact how this goes. So he gets off the exit and starts driving towards the NCR building. While he's driving towards the NCR building, he always has kept his phone in his left pocket. This is my left hand. So he pulls his phone out and he starts calling. He tells me he's calling Willie. Willie is supposed to be the head of security. So he's saying, let me call Willie real quick to make sure that the building's open. So he proceeds. This is another phone, but he proceeds to go ahead and call Willie. We're still driving, by the way. We're still driving. I'm on the phone, scrolling through Facebook, trying to figure out some random shit. But he's driving with the phone up to it. So driving with the phone. Next thing I hear, "Hey Willie, it's Legion. Hey, how's it going? I'm good. Hey, is the building open? No, I just want to take my wife up there so she can see it and see my office. Are you up there right now? You're not? Okay, is Mr. Justin working? Okay. So is there anybody up there that can physically open the building? Because I don't think my badge is going to get me at least in the front door because of it's on the weekend lock. Okay. Okay. All right, let me know. All right, thank you, Willie. Bye." Y'all see how I did that? He's having this whole conversation while I'm sitting in the passenger seat. So then he gets off the phone and he says to me, "Willie is not working and Justin apparently called out sick. So the building is locked and my badge won't get us in the front door." He was like, "Willie's going to see if there's someone else that can open the front door so we can actually get in." He's like, "My badge will get us on the floor, but it will not get us in the front door." No one ever called. So when he's getting off
Okay. Woo! It's time for a movement break right now. Oh my goodness. Because we've been sitting down for almost an hour. So what do you all think of this story so far? This is pure OD craziness. I listen, be careful out there, ladies. Be careful because these people walk among us. So let's go ahead and get this music up. Oh, let's see. Oh. Man, this is pure craziness. My baby, I'm looking for this is crazy. This is right here. This is, you got to be careful out there because man, let's see. All right, listen, get up out of your seats. Even you who had your 40-minute Stairmaster. Everybody get up. Even if you don't want to do anything, get up. Come on. Do something, move, stretch your arms, move your hips. Remember, sitting is death. I'm going to be checking the Cash Apps when we get back, so get up out of your seat. There's going to be some QR codes on the screen. You can send something through that I will read. There's some popcorn down there. Come on. I'll see you all in 2 minutes. We're back in the house. Listen, if you didn't get up before, you got to get up for this nice one. Just move it, sway, sway, sway. Just get up and do something. Hey, listen, life is all about movement. So when you stop moving, you can do the backstroke with me. And then you can just grab one leg and just stretch out your calf. Oh, just get some movement in. Because this is for your own good. Man. You know what I got? I got a Bosu ball that I've been balancing on. As we get older, we lose our balance. So we just got to make sure that we're practicing our balance, our flexibility, and our strength training. All right? Okay, so let's check these apples. I appreciate you all for supporting the broadcast. Thank you. Let's see. I'm happy to hear Veronica is exercising her legs. That's wonderful. All right, so Service sends $10 and says, thank you for doing your commentary on this. Thank you. Thank you. Nikki sends $10 and says, thank you for all that you do. Thank you, I appreciate that. James sends $5 and says, not watching, but for support. James, where are you? Where are you? That's cool. All right, so if you all are ready to jump back into the story, come get some stretch on your arms, stretch your shoulders, because you know what? If you don't use it, you lose it. And if you're not going to use your flexibility, you're going to lose it, and then you're going to find that you have less and less mobility. So you got to keep using it or else you'll lose it. I had a shoulder issue for quite some time, and it's just now starting to heal. I've been doing some things behind the scenes to help it heal. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy it's healing because it was difficult lifting things with one arm, grabbing things from high shelves. I've also begun hanging, like, you know, the pull-up bar, holding onto the pull-up bar, because I can't pull myself up, but just hanging there, toes on the ground, 60 seconds. And somehow just hanging there helped clear up my hearing, made my shoulders feel more flexible. So I just suggest just continue with your mobility practices at home. And when I do these movement breaks, it's for your own good. Stretch, do something, just invest in your health for those 2 minutes. I don't think that's too much to ask. That is your entry fee. That's your entry fee for the videos. All right? Just a little bit of exercise and movement. That's your entry fee. All right, so let's get back to this video here of Who the Hell Did I Marry? We are on part 20, where she's, go ahead and thumbs up the video, like the video. There's 400 people on YouTube, 166 on Facebook, and we got 1 on Twitch. So thank you. I appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you. All right. Aisha, Aisha wants to know how long were they together before they got married? They got together in March of 1 year and got married the next January. But they moved in together 2 weeks later. So, but remember, this isn't about her. This is really only about the lessons we can glean for ourselves. All right. So let's continue. Let's back it up just a little bit so we can just remember the last few things that she was talking about.
Okay, is Mr. Justin working? Okay. So is there anybody up there that can physically open the building? Because I don't think my badge is going to get me at least in the front door because of it's on the weekend lock. Okay. Okay. All right, let me know. All right, thank you, Willie. Bye. Y'all see how I did that? He's having this whole conversation while I'm sitting in the passenger seat. So then he gets off the phone and he says to me, Willie is not working and Justin apparently called out sick. So the building is locked and my badge won't get us in the front door. He was like, Willie's going to see if there's someone else that can open the front door so we can actually get in. He's like, my badge will get us on the floor, but it will not get us in the front door. No one ever called. So when he's getting off the highway, he basically turns onto Spring Street. Again, there's all kinds of shit I distinctly remember. He turns onto Spring Street so that he can then get on 75 South so we can go home. Never saw the office that day. But again, this is where he's saying that he keeps the company car. So when we get to part 21, I'll kind of go into detail about the whole company car a little bit more. Part 21, who the fuck did I marry? So the company car apparently was a charcoal gray BMW. I believe it was a 5 Series. It was a 5 Series. I don't know much about the sedans. Y'all know I wanted the X5 dark blue with the cognac interior. He got the BMW 5 Series charcoal gray. He sent me a picture of the car. So I did see a picture of the car. After this whole NCR building, take me to your office, that is what he's claiming, is that he leaves the company car at that location. He's saying that he drives from Riverdale to Midtown, switches out cars, and then drives from Midtown to Duluth. Those that don't know how Metro Atlanta is, basically Midtown would be in between where we live and Duluth. I only know that he left the house every day at 6:15. I know that I never physically saw the company car come to our home. Saw pictures, plural. So when he told me that he got a BMW 5 Series, keep in mind, this is after I had been promised a dark blue X5. So I was a bit...
You all got to get here early for the broadcast. Join the text notification squad. It's only $1.99 a month. You get a text whenever I go live. That way you're here on time so that you don't have to be asking an hour in what it is that I'm drinking. I am drinking a fresh blended strawberry lemonade, and instead of lemons, I use apple cider vinegar. It's sweetened with stevia. Okay? Let's get back into it.
Salty. I don't care if it is a company car. I was a bit salty. I will admit that. Because I felt like you get to drive the car that you know I really want, which is a BMW. And so he would call me from the car. He would tell me, yeah, I may just drive home in this car and not switch back to his personal car. He's like, I don't know. He did that a lot. And I realize now in 2024, he did that because he knew how excited I was to actually see the car. Because shit, I wanted to test drive it myself, to be honest with you. And he knew that. So reactions. So he would say stuff like that, like, man, I'm so tired. I might just drive the company car, go ahead and go home. And then, just let me park it in a garage type thing. So eventually he stopped doing that because I didn't want to hear nothing about that car. I'm driving a Nissan, you driving a BMW after you promised me a BMW. So I don't really want to hear nothing about it. So in terms of the company car, I did see that it was according to the pictures, a charcoal gray BMW 5 Series. If you're asking me the exact model, I don't know. But I know it's a 5 Series because I know the 7 Series is slightly longer. So it's a 5 Series sedan. So after the whole situation with the cemetery to see his grandfather's headstone, then there was the NCR, the office is open. Oh, it's not open. Justin ain't working. Willie ain't working. Willie's supposed to be head of security, but he ain't working. Okay. So at this point, I'm already numb. It is important for me to point out how numb I became dealing with him. Mind numbing, because I just got to a point where it was like, there's always something. There's always something. So of course we're not going to go to the office because there's going to be something. So this is the end of February. My birthday had already passed. There clearly was tension on my end, not so much tension on his end. So I get home a couple of weeks later. We are now in the beginning of March. This is something personal about me. The only way you would know this is if you know me. I have been dying to go to London and Paris. I had a layover in London when I did a study abroad, but it's not the same. I want to go to London and be a whole tourist. I don't care. I want to see Buckingham Palace. I want to see the Tower of London. I want to see Paris. I want to see the Palace of Versailles. This is something, if you know me, you know.
How come every time you come around my London? Okay. All right.
No, she wants to see Paris. She wants to see London. So I get home from work. This is the beginning of March. I get home from work, and on the counter is a folder with like a little bow on it. And I'm like, oh, what is this? Is this like mail? Like, was this something that you got at work? He's like, nah, it's a surprise for you. I open up the folder. Inside the folder is like a trip itinerary. It is not an actual booked trip. It's like an itinerary. A trip for two to go from Atlanta to London. The trip should have happened, and it was the month on there was like July. So it was a summer trip. So he tells me, I'm going to take you to London. He was like, I wanted to take you for your birthday, but
this is torture. Yo, this man is cruel and sick. If this is true, this is cruel and sick. The self-love lesson for me from this is, if I want to go on a trip, just go on my trip. Just go on my trip.
certain things fell through. He was like, so this summer in July, we're going to go to London. He was like, I've already made a reservation for us to stay at the Savoy. Again, there's certain things that my brain just was like, remember that, remember that. He said, I've already made a reservation for us to stay at the Savoy. I didn't know, as much as I want to go to London, y'all, I didn't know anything about the Savoy. And so I remember going to look it up because I was like, what is the Savoy? Well, apparently the Savoy is bougie, very bougie. So I was so excited. I cannot tell y'all how fucking excited I was when I saw that he had printed out British Airways. Like, he was speaking my language. I am one of those people, I'm a planner. So when he's saying, I'm gonna take you to London, and he took the time to research flights and print it out and research the Savoy and print it out. And there were different.
I mean, why not? He found a whole cemetery with the gravestone on it and his family name. So, looking up some trips and printing some stuff that's no biggie.
It's not excursions, but there were different things that you could do. You could go see the Tower of London. You could go see Buckingham Palace, changing of the guard. We could go have high tea at certain places. He was like, I don't really want to go, but I know you're dying to go. So he was like, I love you and I would do anything for you. Blah, blah, black sheep, have you any wool? And so he was like, I'm going to take you to London in July. The trip did not include Paris. That's fine. But I was so excited. So excited. And so this is the beginning of March. I was like, this is great. Hopefully this happens. I knew I needed to renew my passport, and he was saying that he had to renew his passport as well because his passport had expired. So both of us were like, okay, we need to get on this if we're going to try to make it to London in July, and it's now March. Me being a planner I am, I think I went to work the next day and printed out the passport applications so that
I want to see how far he takes this. Does he take it to driving to the airport and then, oh no, I have to come into work? No, man, no. Or what? There's a bomb scare on the plane. No, man, no. I want to see how far he takes this foolishness.
we could fill it out and go ahead and get that process going. So, needless to say, something must have happened, and I don't remember what it was. We just simply didn't fill out the application for the passport. So, fast forward, we're now at mid-March. Mid-March, the decision was made that my mom, who lived in Arkansas, was coming to visit us. She would be coming, I believe, the second week of April, and she was going to stay a week, and then a few days. So, like, maybe a total of 9 days. Not quite 2 weeks, but a little over a week. So she was coming in April, and I was excited. Legion was excited because he was excited to physically meet my mom. He had talked to her on Zoom, he had talked to her on the phone, but he was excited to physically meet my mom. And my mom was excited to physically meet her son-in-law. So this is mid-March. I'm going to go into part 22 where I explain what happened with Facebook Messenger. Part 22, who the fuck did I marry? So now we are in March. This is right after he had surprised me with the announcement of we're going to go to London for a trip in July. Because we definitely didn't do a honeymoon. We definitely didn't do any sort of trips together. So the idea was we're going to do a trip in July together. One thing about Legion was that he was the guy who was like, I have nothing to hide. I don't lie. I don't like liars. If we're in a relationship, then everything should be out in the open. So I've always had his cell phone passcode. Never felt the need to look through his cell phone. And funny enough, I can tell y'all right now, disclaimer, I will never go through a cell phone again. You cheating beast. So anyway, so one day, this is mid-March, going like around March 20th. So we're heading in towards the end of the month.
Did she say you can cheat in peace? What's the self-love lesson for you in this?
Was in the shower. Keep in mind, my mom is coming for a visit in April. So he was in the shower and he received a text message on his phone from a woman. The text message, because it was a preview, so the text message was something where if you didn't know the context of the text thread, you could either go left or you could go right with it. So me being just curious, I opened up the phone, put the passcode in, read the text, then read the thread. Come to find out, it was a text from his aunt. His aunt and his ex share the same name. That's why I say it could go left or it could go right. Text was from the aunt. So I looked at the text, went through the thread, nothing in there. So I went ahead, X out of the messages. I see that he has Facebook Messenger downloaded. And obviously it shows you the number of unread messages in the icon. So it showed that he had like 5 unread messages. So I clicked on it, just being nosy. And what do my wondering astigmatism eyes see? So in his Facebook Messenger is about 7 women. I can see their profile picture and I see their names. Some of them had a preview. The ones that he had not read, I could see the preview of the message. One in particular said, when are you going to come get this? Y'all know what I'm talking about. So I clicked on that one first. And I'm reading through the thread. And so she's saying, when are you going to come get this? But earlier in the thread, or further back in the thread, he had asked her, when are you going to give me? And she said, when lockdown is over. So from what I could piece together, he had not yet physically gotten with her. But had there been no COVID, he would have smashed all day, every day. The other messages were innuendos, meaning the other messages from the other women were innuendos. They were not as graphic as the one between him and her. So I'm reading these messages, and what is interesting is that the person I am married to is not the person in these messages. Like, this man was on some nasty shit. And I say nasty, not in a judgmental way, but with me, he seemed to act as if I was damn near virginal white. And I clearly see evidence that you into some shit that with me, you acting like, nah, I ain't really into that. So I confronted him. I absolutely confronted him and was like, what the fuck is this? If 2 + 2 is 4 and 5 + 5 is 10, what the fuck is this? And so he did not, that ain't what happened, blah, blah, blah. Instead, what he hit me with is, man, I was just playing around. Like, ain't nothing happened. I shouldn't have said all that, but I was just flirting. It ain't mean nothing. I don't even know that girl. I was just flirting. And so I'm like, is this what you into? And so he was like, no, it's not what I'm into. It was just stupid. It was stupid because I shouldn't have done it. So I'm going to be honest with y'all, because I've been honest all this time. What pissed me off the most was that here I am as a woman behaving, trying to do the right thing by him and this marriage. And you mean to tell me you out here offering your dingling to random chicks that you don't even know? I was more angry at the fact that I'm like, dude, do you know how much I have turned down in order to be faithful to your dumb ass? And I'm seeing that you basically are out here acting like you got Skittles taste the rainbow. I was hurt. I was angry. I thought about getting my lick back. I just being
Taste the rainbow. Is that so?
honest, I did. And he played it off like it ain't nothing serious. It ain't nothing serious. Don't overreact. Don't get emotional. It was just dumb. He was like, I will delete the messages. I'll even delete Messenger. And I told him, I was like, that's really not good enough, because that's not going to fix the root of the issue. So this is where I introduced that we need to do marriage counseling. He didn't have any issue doing marriage counseling. We did not do premarital counseling, but he was like, that's fine. He was like, I don't have no problem doing marriage counseling because if anything, it can help us. So I thought that, okay, he may not have physically cheated from what I could see on the messenger. He may not have physically cheated, but he damn sure got caught, doing a little something, because they had exchanged pictures. So y'all know what pictures he sent. And I was disappointed because I don't like men that send, I don't like men that send those type of pictures. But anyway, that's another issue. So we agreed that we would start marriage counseling. We also agreed that we would put on a united front when my mom got there. In other words, we were not going to argue. We, let's just act like everything is fine. But at that point, when my mother arrived in April, I could not stand him. I did not want to be, but we couldn't, he moved back into our bedroom because he had moved into the guest bedroom when I saw the messages. Like 3 days before she came, he moved back into the bedroom because obviously she needed to sleep somewhere. So I really could not stand him. And it was because I was busy second guessing myself. Like, damn, what's wrong with me? Like, if that's what you into and I'm supposed to be your wife, like, let's have conversations. Like, shit, I went to FAMU. I understand some stuff, buddy. So it just was one of those things where it made me second guess, like, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong?
FAMU, what y'all doing down there in FAMU? What y'all doing out there? That she's second guessing herself. That she not doing it like the FAMU people doing it. Because remember, she said that they had stopped, after they got married, like before the month of January was over, they had stopped having intercourse as well. So now he's talking to other women, sending them pics. So she's second guessing herself. So that there's that context.
To your dumb ass. And I'm seeing that you basically are out here acting like you got Skittles taste the rainbow. I was hurt. I was angry. I thought about getting my lick back. I'm just being honest, I did. And he played it off like it ain't nothing serious. It ain't nothing serious. Don't overreact. Don't get emotional. It was just dumb. He was like, I will delete the messages. I'll even delete Messenger. And I told him, I was like, that's really not good enough, because that's not going to fix the root of the issue. So this is where I introduced that we need to do marriage counseling. He didn't have any issue doing marriage counseling. We did not do premarital counseling, but he was like, that's fine. He was like, I don't have no problem doing marriage counseling because if anything, it can help us. So I thought that, okay, he may not have physically cheated from what I could see on the messenger. He may not have physically cheated, but he damn sure got caught, doing a little something, because they had exchanged pictures. So y'all know what pictures he sent. And I was disappointed because I don't like men that send I don't like men that send those type of pictures. But anyway, that's another issue. So we agreed that we would start marriage counseling. We also agreed that we would put on a united front when my mom got there. In other words, we were not going to argue. We, let's just act like everything is fine. But at that point, when my mother arrived in April, I could not stand him. I did not want to be, but we couldn't, he moved back into our bedroom because he had moved into the guest bedroom when I saw the messages. Like 3 days before she came, he moved back into the bedroom because obviously she needed to sleep somewhere. So I really could not stand him. And it was because I was busy second guessing myself. Like, damn, what's wrong with me? Like, if that's what you into and I'm supposed to be your wife, like, let's have conversations. Like, shit, I went to FAMU. I understand some stuff, buddy. So it just was one of those things where it made me second guess, like, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? What is it that she got that I don't? Because you all out here willy-nilly, messaging her all hours of the night, because the thread went back quite a few weeks. I saw it in March. There were messages from December, November. So again, I'm just second guessing all kinds of stuff, self-esteem taking a hit. So no, I did not want to be around him. I did not want, I didn't like him. Period. I did not like him. I left and I would just go for a drive because driving clears my mind. I called my aunt, told her what happened. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend calling family to tell them what's going on in your marriage. But I called my aunt, and my aunt lovingly was like, what do you want me to say? You married him. He ain't your boyfriend. Y'all can't just break up. That's the hard part about marriage, is like, I mean, yeah, I guess you could leave him, but at the same time, you married him. So, honey, you're going to have to go back home. And y'all are going to have to figure this out. She was like, I can't give you advice on what you should do. I'm sorry that this happened, but you married him. So even though it was just one drive, I went back home. And that's when the discussion was, we need to do marriage counseling. Part 23, who the fuck did I marry? So we agreed to do marriage counseling. I had found a pastor and his wife who agreed to do our counseling, basically. Our counseling was going to be on Zoom, and it was going to be every other week, every other Tuesday. Initially, Legion was participating in it. His body language seemed to be that he was open and receptive to the marriage counseling. Now, the pastor and his...
For those of you who were not here for the beginning part of the broadcast, we're not going to attack her. We are only going to look at what we can glean to help ourselves from this story. If I see a message of yours attacking her, your messages will no longer be able to be shown on the screen in this broadcast. Am I understood? This isn't about her. We don't need to praise her or try to tear her down. Just look for the lessons for ourselves. Most bloggers are not going to tell you that because they just want to blow smoke up your ass and get you to give them money or be entertained or forget that you have issues. I want you to be reminded that you have issues. You're not going to escape that here. You are no better than she is. We all are ignorant about something. Nobody knows all of everything. And this is based on the unique set of criteria that happened in her life. This is what she says happened to her.
His wife were deeply concerned at the fact that we had only been married 3 months and we were already dealing with some form of infidelity. We were in marriage counseling, and as the pastor would put it, there seems to not be any sort of intimacy. They were concerned. Rightfully so. I think any person would be if they knew what was going on within those 3 months. So the pastor and his wife, it is fair to note, we started counseling with them in the spring. We continued counseling with them up until a week before I found out what I found out, and he got kicked out. So one of the first things that the pastor kind of talked to us about was, what was the deal with the Facebook Messenger stuff? And Legion was like, it was stupid. I shouldn't have done it. It really was just attention. And I got carried away. He felt like he kept saying, I'm not going to keep apologizing. I'm not going to keep getting persecuted. After I told you, I'm sorry, I told you I wouldn't do it again. And I want us to move forward. You're either going to forgive me or you're not. The pastor and his wife were like, wow, the audacity is real on this one. So needless to say, we started moving slowly forward. It was always in the back of my mind, just like it was in the back of my mind with that black Dodge Charger. It was one of those things where, okay, I see how you kind of are moving and operating. He came to me a few days after we started our first counseling session, and he was like, we should get a joint bank account. What he wanted to do was to each one of us have our own account and to get a joint account for our money to go in there for joint expenses. Now, Up until this point, he had been paying the rent, the utilities, and I really was just paying for my stuff. So now he's suggesting, look, we're married now, let's go ahead and get a joint account. I wasn't necessarily against it because I knew that I would still have my own account. I would still have my own savings. So what I countered with was, okay, let's take a look and see what we're working with. Show me your checking. Let's look at each other's accounts. Look at what we have currently. He was cool with that. So he shows me his checking account. His checking account available balance was it was just over 9,600. Mine was just over 1,500. So there was a huge disparity in the amounts. And so he logged in on the phone and turned it towards me, and I could see available checking, available balance, just over 9,600. I logged into my savings. I showed him how much I had in savings. He picked up his phone, logged into his Chase savings, turned the phone towards me. In the Chase savings, it was roughly about 15,000. But I also knew that he told me he had a U.S. bank savings and he had an offshore savings. So at this point in time, I asked him, show me the U.S. bank savings, show me the other two accounts. He would not do it. This became a huge bone of contention. He would not show me the two accounts that he claims has the most money in there, the accounts that he claims has money for a house in there, because he still was mentioning, hey, we need to get on this house thing if we're going to move when the lease is up. So I'm just adamant on, why don't you want to show me your savings account? You showed me the Chase one. Like, what is the big deal? And so he kept saying, he was like, there's a lot of money in there. And he was like, and my uncle always taught me, this is not the uncle that died, another uncle. My uncle always told me, just keep your money tight because women can be, I said, women, like, we're married. So go ahead and show it to me. He would not show it to me. So then we went back into marriage counseling, like the next session, and I bring it up. I said, he will not show me these two accounts that he claims has the money in there to buy a house. I told a pastor and his wife, I said, I saw the pre-approval letter, so I don't understand why he's not going to show me, to just put me at ease that he has the money in there. I had never questioned it before because, again, you tell me who in their right mind signs their name to a legally binding offer, an all-cash offer on a house, and they just do it willy-nilly. I don't know anyone that does that. So I actually never questioned what was in the savings because I clearly saw him sign his name to a $699,000 all cash offer on the house. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go back to the parts in this playlist where I talk about what he did when we were looking for a house. So the pastor and his wife were like, Legion, that's not his name, y'all, that's a nickname. Legion, why would you not show your wife your savings account? Like, what's going on here? And so he made up some bullshit. And I remember the pastor's wife was like, something ain't right. And so at this point, Legion kind of shuts down. He's just like, look, y'all are not going to tell me when and where I open up my accounts to show anybody the money I earned. I earned that money. I earned that money by playing football, blood, sweat, and tears. He went to this whole Denzel Washington monologue about how he earned that money, and no one is going to come in and tell him that he needs to open up the account. So then he starts talking about the ex-wife and how she tried to get money from him in the divorce back when they were in California. So now the pastor and his wife, their red flags are just like, whoa. So much so that the pastor's wife said, and I will never forget this, she said, I don't think you all are going to make it to January. What she was talking about is, I don't think y'all are going to make it a year. And I really, truly was like, we're going to make it. Like, of course we're going to make it. And she was just like, I don't have a good feeling about it. And so Legion's all defensive. He at this point, he's folding his arms and because remember, we're on Zoom. He's folding his arms and he's just like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm not going to get attacked because I'm not comfortable showing you the amount of money that I have. Money changes people. And I'm not comfortable. So he's playing that victim card. And so the pastor and his wife were like, we're still going to help y'all as much as we can. But so he was like, I'm not comfortable. And basically the pastor and his wife were like, look, we'll help y'all as much as we can. But there's some deep issues here. And, this is what they advised us. Had the two of you came to us for premarital counseling, we would have told you, do not get married. Y'all should not even be together. That is what the pastor and his wife told us in marriage counseling. If you two had come to us for premarital counseling, we would have told you, y'all should not even be together, let alone get married. But here we are. So we will help you guys as much as we can. But the pastor's wife was like, I don't have a good feeling that y'all are going to make it a year. Part 24, who the fuck did I marry? So remember, we're in April. We're now moving towards the end of April. And he still did not show me his savings account. Saw the checking. Saw the Chase savings. So he decides that we should start looking for a house again because my lease was up in August and I made it very clear that when the lease is up, I am moving. I wanted to move to Cobb County. So he was like, we need to get the ball rolling. I didn't want any parts of it. Didn't want any parts of it. He found a realtor. This time it was a woman. And I believe her name was Amber. I think her name was Amber. So he found a realtor and kind of, he told her what the budget was. Amber started finding houses. So please understand, or you don't really have to understand, but I believed he was a sane, rational human being. Sane enough that you would not sign an offer on a home if you didn't have the money. That's what I believed. So when we started working with Amber, I believe, showed us 3 or 4 houses. It was not nearly as many as the other realtor, Scott. So one of the houses, absolutely loved. Ugh, I love the house. I really wanted to put in an offer on that house, and I'm going.
In all this time, how come? I mean, in all this time, a person could save up their own money to buy a damn house at this point, because this is too much.
To post it on the screen, the house. Love that house. It was just absolutely beautiful. And once again, he wanted to put in an all cash offer on the house. But before he could put in he had told Amber, I want to put in an all cash offer. And what Amber, the woman, was smart enough to say is, okay, let's just go ahead and take it one step at a time. Let's go ahead and get your pre-approval stuff together. She said, I work with a great lender who, if you're not already pre-approved, he can get you pre-approved, no issues. And then if you want to do an all cash offer, then we'll go ahead and get the proof of funds together. So that way we can submit it all with your offer. Jesus. Y'all already know what happened, because you remember what happened on the last house with Scott. Basically, Legion was like, well, I can get you whatever you need. That's fine. But I really don't want to submit proof of funds unless they accept the offer. Amber, and I don't know where she is. I don't even know if she'll ever see this video. Anyway, let me keep going and I'll explain why that woman has a special place in my heart. So Amber was like, I totally understand. But this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to need that paperwork. Okay. And, we'll submit it with your offer. She just simply was like, yeah, this is how we're going to do it. And so he did not submit the paperwork when she had asked him to. And I remember I was driving to work and I stopped at the Quick Trip on Upper Riverdale Road in Riverdale, Georgia. And Amber had called me. It was in the morning. She had called me. And I believe with all my heart that Amber knew something was up, but she also knew I did not know what was up. So she called me and she was like, I just don't understand. Like, if he has the paperwork, like, you can submit the paperwork. But the issue was the Chase paperwork that I had was from a year prior. So my understanding was that it pretty much was no good at this point. So she said, all he has to do is just email it to me or take a picture of. She was like, I just need to know that he's able to back up his offer. And I said, I totally get it.
Kenny, a vagina is personal. The inside of a vagina is personal. Penis is personal. Finances, listen, you're married. Show them paperwork. Show the paperwork, you're married. Listen, money, the only people I know who have issues talking about money are broke people or people with poverty mindsets. So show the money. Show the money.
And she was explaining some stuff to me. She was like, he needs to do X, Y, and Z. And so I said to her, I remember I said, I don't know what's going on. I said, I'm going to get down to the bottom of it, but I don't know what's going on. And so let's put a pause on this whole thing. Let's put a pause on looking at houses. Let's put a pause on getting his pre-approval letter, because I'm not sure what's going on. And she got quiet and she said, okay. I said, and I know this sounds weird. And she said, no. She said, that is actually very smart. She said, do your research. And if I can be of assistance, call me. She said, whether you buy a house with him or you buy a house on your own, I will be more than happy to represent you. I don't know where Amber is today, but that one sentence, I felt like just woman to woman, she was basically telling me, something ain't right. Baby, something ain't right. And now you need to open your eyes. I'll be more than happy to work with you. If y'all get your shit together, I'll work with both of you. But whether you buy a house or not, do your research and then let me know what I can do. That was our conversation at the Quick Trip on Upper Riverdale Road. So I got off the phone. That was the last time that we worked with any sort of realtor. That was the last time that we looked at any sort of house. And I don't remember exactly what happened after that meeting that day. I do know that when I went home, I simply told him, I don't want to look at a house right now. I said, I think it's okay if we rent. We'll just find a house in Cobb County and just rent for a year, and let's build, save some more money. Let's not worry about buying a house right now. And basically, what I was trying to do was save face, because that was the first time with Amber that I actually was embarrassed at the fact that he and I, because I felt like I was complicit in the fact that I'm going to look at houses with him. I felt like we are wasting these people's time. I did not mean to waste your time. I clearly see my time as being wasted, but that doesn't mean I need to waste your time. And I felt embarrassed at the fact that we wasted her time, coming across as serious buyers. When time came to put up or shut up, nothing was put up, and I knew nothing. I had nothing to add to add to this, because we're talking about a $650,000 house, and I don't make that. I don't make anywhere near that. So it just became one of those situations where I was trying to save face. I was trying to save face with my husband, and I was trying to save face with Amber. And so I did say to him, let's just rent for another year, and then let's see at that time where we are, if we should go ahead and buy. So now is when shit is about to get real.
Oh,
Part 25, who the fuck did I marry? So we weren't looking at houses anymore. We were not working with a realtor anymore. The end of April, I had decided that I wanted to look for another job. I did. The reason I wanted to look for another job is petty. Yeah, it is. I wanted to look for another job because I was pissed off at the fact that I had basically was dependent on him to help with the car note. So I wanted to look for another job where I could afford life all by myself, including that car note, basically where I would make more money. I told
that's
him
not petty.
that I was going to start looking for another job. He laughed. And his exact words were, "You're not going to leave Georgia State Patrol." He was like, "I swear you love them niggas more than you love me." He laughed. So that fueled me even more. So I was hitting the pavement hard trying to find another job. I was applying to all kinds of places. Got a phone call from my current job. So this is how I ended up in my current job. Got a phone call. They had sent me an email with a background packet. The background packet was long and extensive, but in the background packet, it asked for my spouse's full name, my spouse's date of birth, and my spouse's social security number. So I showed it to Legion, and I was like, I need your social because, I'm applying for this job. It's a great job. It's way more money. And, we're talking about moving anyway to Cobb County. So this is a God thing. He did not want to give me his social. I showed him the paperwork where I was like, look, because we are married, I can't lie on here. So help me. So he writes down his social security number on the background packet. And I eventually turned it in. I scanned it, saved it in my email, and sent it in. And I looked at it one day, just going through it, just making sure I didn't really miss anything. All T's were crossed, all I's were dotted. And I looked at his social, and something about the social seemed different than the social security number that I remember seeing when we did our marriage license. And so for those who you remember in the previous part, I said I had ran his social security number from the marriage license. Nothing came back. So I thought that I had written it down wrong. Basically, what it is that the first three numbers were different on the background packet than what was on the marriage license. If you don't know this, here's a little trivia. Your social security number, the first three numbers, pretty much are dictated by the state you were born in and the state that issued your birth certificate. So he was born in Pennsylvania. So the first three numbers of his social security number should be attributed to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, shit, they probably got like 5, 6 different numbers, 3-digit numbers that your social security number can start with. So the social that was on the marriage license, for example, was probably 1, 2, 3. What was on the background was 4, 5, 6. Both of those social security 3-digit prefixes are issued through the state of Pennsylvania. Again, this is just an example so I can make it clear. So when I saw his social on my background, I immediately knew that was a different social than what I saw on the marriage license. And when I compared, because I had found a copy of the marriage license that we turned in because I had filled it out on the computer. So sure enough, the first 3 numbers were different. The rest of the numbers were the same. So one of two things, either when I ran his background, I did in fact put in the wrong number, or the number on the marriage certificate or the background packet is wrong. So I decided that I was going to roll the dice and take the social from the background packet. Again, this is the background packet that I had to fill out to get my current job. I was trying to get a new job. Okay, so I took that social.
Woo! So We're at the top of part 25. We got 5 more parts to watch, and it is time for us to take a movement break. Let me find us some. What type of music should we listen to? Oh my goodness, this is too much. Ooh, what type of music should we listen to? Come on, give me some suggestions. Oh my goodness, this is a lot. We have 300 people on Facebook. We have 600 people on YouTube. And we have been sitting down we've been watching for an hour and a half, and we're going to be going for another hour, and we need to get up and move. Go get yourself a drink, stretch, move your back. If you're looking at this on a phone, you have to make sure that you have to flex your neck in the opposite direction. You can bend over on a desk or up against a wall, put your arms behind your head, and just stretch out your back neck, because many of us are getting phone neck. So you want to make sure that you are staying. Ooh, bachata. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's listen to some bachata. Okay. All right, BACHA. Here we go, bachata. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's see if we could find some bachata that is. Let's see. Ooh. Here we go. Let's see what this is.
Let's go. Lorito. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to go.
Oye, baby, no te pone muy cerca.
This is not bachata. That's reggaeton. What are these people talking about? That's not bachata. That's reggaeton. These people are playing themselves. This is not bachata. What are you talking about? This is, let me do a search again. BACHATA, bachata. No, let me go back. This is just pure OD craziness. Let me go back. Genre. They don't have bachata here. Sorry. BACHATA. Bachata. Let's see. Let me do a control F. Bachata. They don't have bachata. That's crazy. But you know what? They have, let's see. This is reggaeton. Let's see. This one.
Besarte, satisfacerte, que tú despiertes al lado mío. En Dios confío, me ha regalado lo que pedí.
I don't know about that. This one is reggaeton.
Nos vamos a quemar. Me llamas en la disco en la semana. Como tú lo mueves, baby, ya. Y en la disco eso se siente, ya. Caliente, caliente.
It's called caliente. So look, we're gonna be back in 2 minutes. Go get yourself a drink. Stretch. You know what? I don't know how to dance to reggaeton music. Come on. Get about your seat and just move. It don't matter how you move. As long as you move, that's all that matters. Listen, I'll see you all in 2 minutes.
barrio, bebé. Si lo hacemos, estamos bien. Yeah, yeah, menear y sí, disfruta lo que sí. No te gusta algo, me lo dices a mí. Cara como Jeezy, seria como Missy. Que cuando te veo, me pone en crisis.
Esta noche, ¿qué pasa? No sabes qué hora verás. Esta noche no pasa. Ahora lo encenderás. 2, 3, caliente, caliente. Cuidado que te va a quemar. Caliente, caliente. Dale, este ritmo te pone a bailar. Caliente, caliente, caliente. Cuidado que te va a quemar. Caliente, caliente. Soy buena gente, este ritmo te pone a bailar. Era inocente como la ves. Se volvió madura, la niñez es por un pobre bobo que le fue infiel. Ya no se enamora, cuéntales veces. La leyenda dice que ahora está bien, que es independiente, se lo merece. Me dicen que nada es muy bien. Aquí bien mojada con tantos peces. Ella quiere gozar, con el rum me dice pásalo. Ella se quiere olvidar del que la traicionó. Ella quiere janguear, olvidarse de ese dolor, poniéndose a farrear, seguro. La baby quiere curaciones, me llama pa' que vaya ya. Quiere que le cante todas mis canciones, hablando de corazones. El suyo no funciona ya, estamos bien pa' esas relaciones. Sabe lo que quiere, sabe lo que da. Solo en su mirada ves por lo que va. Sale pa' los party bien regular. Entramos a David matando a Goliat. Yeah. Se pone bien hermosa porque son las 6. Es el alma la fiesta y donde uno la ve. Su cara no refleja lo que ella es. Tremenda mujer. Ella quiere gozar. Con el rum me dice pásalo. Ella se quiere olvidar del que la traicionó. Ella quiere janguear, olvidarse de ese dolor, poniéndose a farrear, seguro. Ahora sola está sin más, hacho, pa' que no le pongan hacho. Se hace emoji en su caption, déjalo por los muchachos. Ella sabe cómo es, ella sabe que está buena. Se le fue la timidez, está libre esa condena. Yeah. Se pone bien hermosa porque son las 6. Es el alma la fiesta y donde uno la ve. Su cara no refleja lo que ella es. Tremenda mujer. Ella quiere gozar. Con el rum me dice pásalo. Ella se quiere olvidar del que la traicionó. Ella quiere janguear, olvidarse de ese dolor, poniéndose a farrear, seguro.
All right. We are back. All right. Welcome back. All right, let's see what we have. Whew. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thank you for being a part of tonight's broadcast because this all has been so crazy. Michelle sends $5 and says, I'm content with being single. You know, there are some crazy people out there, but no risk, no reward, right? Jay Ebony says, when you see him, it'll make sense. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. And she says, your expressions are the quiet part out loud. Ciao. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gloria says, not getting my text messages. I'm off the squad. Gloria, contact me behind the scenes because there was some. Just contact me because everybody who's on the text notification squad should be getting their text. So if you're not, then let's figure out why, because there's some things that may need to be taken care of. So just contact me. Go to TonyaTKO.com, click on text, and let's go from there. So, wow. This was definitely, let me add this song Caliente to my favorites. I like that one that we went to break on. All right, so right now I have a drink, which is, Kay sent some. Hold on, Kay just sent through. Contributing to the broadcast. Thank you, Kay. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, all right, there we go. I got it. Thank you, Kay. So this right here is fresh pineapple. Well, pineapple that was frozen fresh. You know, when you get your fruits and veggies from the store, freeze them before they go bad if you can't eat them all. So this is pineapple. It's pure. It's turmeric with 95% curcuminoids, ginger root extract, and a little bit of stevia and some apple cider vinegar. And so this is my drink. And we're about to get back into this story. This whole thing right here is just so crazy, but it sounds like it's about to unravel now. So we're getting down to the wire. We're at part 25. So let's continue. Let's continue. Go ahead and thumbs up the video. Share the video with a friend. Tag somebody. We are reacting live to the entire series. Tonight we're doing part 16 through 30, and tomorrow we're going to come back and do 31 to 52 and just finish out the series, plus catch up on any of the other things. We'll see how that goes, but I really just wanted to go through the series. All right.
And I ran a background check on it.
So we're getting to the background check with the new social.
From the marriage license, nothing came back. So I thought that I had written it down wrong. Basically, what it is that the first three numbers were different on the background packet than what was on the marriage license. If you don't know this, here's a little trivia. Your social security number, the first three numbers, pretty much are dictated by the state you were born in and the state that issued your birth certificate. So he was born in Pennsylvania. So the first three numbers of his social security number should be attributed to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, they probably got like 5-6 different numbers, 3-digit numbers that your social security number can start with.
Very refreshing.
So the social that was on the marriage license, for example, was probably 1, 2, 3. What was on the background was 4, 5, 6. Both of those social security 3-digit prefixes are issued through the state of Pennsylvania. Again, this is an example, so I can make it clear. So when I saw his social on my background, I immediately knew that was a different social than what I saw on the marriage license. And when I compared, because I had found a copy of the marriage license that we turned in because I had filled it out on the computer. So sure enough, the first three numbers were different. The rest of the numbers were the same. So one of two things, either when I ran his background, I did in fact put in the wrong number, or the number on the marriage certificate or the background packet is wrong. So I decided that I was going to roll the dice and take the social from the background packet. Again, this is the background packet that I had to fill out to get my current job. I was trying to get a new job. Okay, so I took that social and I ran a background check on it. What came back on this particular background was all the addresses that the social security number, I guess, had been attached to. So all of the addresses, the states were Georgia, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania. What I did not see was California. So I thought that was weird. I thought, okay, maybe this is not a complete background because clearly he went to San Diego State. It's on his resume. It's on quite a few things. Social media. He didn't have a LinkedIn, but it was on his social media. So clearly he had been to California. So maybe I just need to do a different background check. Also to note, during this time, I think I told you guys he had hit his leg at work. So what was happening was it was getting more and more difficult for him to walk, like put pressure on that leg, on that knee. He was still able to go to work. He was still leaving at 6:15 in the morning. He
was probably out somewhere fighting somebody in the park after dark. That's what he was probably doing. This man was living a whole other life, girl.
still coming back between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. But I clearly could see where he was in pain. He would elevate the knee, ice the knee. It was getting worse. And I was constantly like, go to the doctor. Let me take you to urgent care so that they can look at this knee, because you shouldn't still be limping and having a hard time putting weight on that knee. And every single time he was like, oh, it's fine. I have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday. The doctor just told me to ice it and to elevate it. This is an old football injury. It happens all the time. It used to happen a lot when I was out in California. So I'm mentioning this knee issue for a reason. But back to the background. So once again, when I ran the background the second time with the second social, it showed me states of Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. And that's all that I saw in terms of addresses. I didn't see anything for California. So by this point, we're moving into May of 2021. Things are starting to reopen. One of the things that reopened was San Diego State. So I called San Diego State. I called the registrar's office. Someone did answer, and there was instructions on how to request a transcript.
I was thinking gout too. I really was. I was thinking diabetes foot. I was thinking a whole bunch of stuff.
I was able to try to request it online. You needed the student's name, and I believe you also need their social. And when I typed it in, it said no results found. I believe that I sent an email asking, this person is saying that they were a student there. Can you verify it? The response I got was there were no records found with that social security number. So I'm like, okay. I asked him about it. And in part 26, I'll tell you exactly what his response was. Part 26. Who the fuck did I marry? So I asked Legion, what's the deal about San Diego State? He was like, what are you talking about? And I said, why is there no records of you there? I just came right out and said it. Without missing a beat, this man said, well, I was a private citizen. What the fuck does that mean? And what he said is that when he started at San Diego State, his father paid money so that, okay, it's important not to say this with a straight face. His father paid money so that his name and social would not be publicized, and he would be considered a private citizen. He said that he had a card where all he had to do was show the card. He does not have to give his name. He does not have to give any information because he had that card. He said so San Diego State would not have any record of him, but he was in fact a student there. I said, and you claim that you played football. He was like, I did play football. I said, so you're saying that the school did not publish your name anywhere and they were in violation of NCAA rules? And he was like, why are you asking all these questions? And I said, I'm just curious. I'm just curious. You're saying that you were a private citizen, but yet how were you in compliance with NCAA if you were a private citizen and they did not publish your name on any roster? So that was his excuse. He was like, all I can tell you is that I was a private citizen. My dad paid for it. Okay. So now I know that San Diego State has no record of him. Now I know that his social security number, at least the one that's on my background packet, only shows that he lived in Georgia, Rhode Island, and Pennsylvania.
Ladies, please let the self-love lesson right here be to be very aware. Beware. If you're with a person who is a chronic pathological liar, you really do not know how dangerous they are. So protect yourself above and first and foremost.
Okay. So at this point, the pain in his knee is getting worse. It's getting to the point where when he would come home from work, he would take a shower and immediately get into bed, elevate his knee. He was not even eating the way that he used to eat. It was getting to the point where at times, if you remember when I told you all about the miscarriage, they gave me pain meds because I had taken that pill. But the pain meds I was allergic to, so I couldn't take them, but I still had them. So the pain in his knee was getting to the point where he would take one of those pain meds just to get through the night. He was constantly in agony, constantly kind of tossing and turning, so much so that in May he moved into the guest bedroom because I couldn't deal with the tossing and turning thing. And he just said he was more comfortable there.
Of course.
So what at first was I hit my knee at work turned into
It was probably a burning and an itching somewhere else that had him tossing and turning. But I'm just minding my business.
Now, at least the one that's on my background packet
Oh, darn, I
only
went
shows that
bad
he listed
too,
in. Do you remember when I told you all about the miscarriage? They gave me pain meds because I had taken that pill, but the pain meds I was allergic to, so I couldn't take them, but I still had them. So the pain in his knee was getting to the point where he would take one of those pain meds just to get through the night. He was constantly in agony, constantly kind of tossing and turning, so much so that in May he moved into the guest bedroom because I couldn't deal with the tossing and turning thing. And he just said he was more comfortable there. So what at first was I hit my knee at work turned into, no, it was an old football injury. This has happened before. Turned into, it's painful for me to walk on it. Turned into, it's actually hard for me to work on it. But he was still going to work at 6:15 every morning and coming home between 3:30 and 4. So it is, again, I'm just giving you guys the chronological order of how all this happened. So at this point, we're not looking for a house. I still have not seen the 2 savings account. I'm pretty sure there's no money in those savings accounts. But again, he was going to put in an all cash offer with Amber, the realtor. So I really didn't know what to believe, but I believed what I saw, which is I saw that background is not showing where he went to California. So at one point in May, it was close to mid-May.
Oops.
He calls me from work. He calls me from work, calls me while I'm at work, and tells me that he got a phone call from his stepson. The phone call from his stepson, the stepson was crying and was just absolutely distraught. And I'm at work in my office like, what's going on? And he says to me that the stepson informed him that his stepdaughter passed away, that she died from COVID. The stepson, this is the story. The stepson found her in her apartment because they had not heard from her for a couple of days. And she was unresponsive. He called the ambulance. They pronounced her dead when she got to the hospital. So he was calling to tell me that she had died. And he was also calling to ask me if I would object to him giving his ex-wife $2,000 towards the funeral. As I've stated before, and I still am this way to this day. I don't play about death. So when he told me that she died, I immediately went into all right, I'm sorry to hear that. Whatever we can do to help, let's help. Because surely nobody would make that up. So he was like, are you okay with that? He was like, we're married. And the agreement was that anything over $500 would be a discussion. So $2,000, definitely. And I said, yeah, that's totally fine. I'm fine with that. He was upset because, again, he was close with the kids. And my heart went out to his ex-wife. It did, because I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. So part 27, who the fuck did I marry? So here's where we are at, and here's what we can establish. Number 1, I ran an initial background check on the social security number that was on our marriage license. Nothing came back. I subsequently applied for another job. In that job, I had to fill out a background packet. The background packet asked for my spouse's name, date of birth, and his social security number. The social security number on the background packet for the new job did not match the social security number that he gave me for our marriage license. If you are confused, I believe it's in part 25 or part 26 that I explain that. So we can establish that I then ran a background check on the new social security number that was on my background packet. It came back with states that the social security number apparently had lived in. Those states were Georgia, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island. Okay. I decided, this is now around May 20th, I decided to do another background check. And I paid to do another background check. This time, I did it with a different company, and not only did it give me the not only did it give me the states, it gave me addresses, and it also gave me names of people who were like associated with Legion and that address. One of those names was his ex-wife. I've always known, he's always told me the name of the ex-wife, but now I see it when I ran his background. I did a search for her on social media. She was not there. So the address that it showed that she was associated with him, because remember, his story is we got married in San Diego, we lived in San Diego, we divorced in San Diego. Men lie, women lie. The U.S. federal government, with your social security number, does not. So he's saying he was always in California. His social security number never showed that he was in California, according to the background check. It did show that he had lived in Georgia at an address associated with the ex-wife. So try to find the ex-wife, could not find her on social media. So I looked in the metro counties to protect her identity. This, I am going to not divulge a lot on this part. I looked in the metro counties, in the the open record courts. So typically, you know, you can look in like Superior Court or Magistrate Court or Probate Court. So I looked in open records for the different counties, metro Atlanta counties. Let me be clear, metro Atlanta counties. And I looked under her name and I found where they had filed for divorce in a metro Atlanta county. So when he said that he filed for divorce in San Diego and that he was married in San Diego, I was able to find, no, according to the state of Georgia, you were married here. You were divorced here. So I looked under her name, found a record for divorce, and it did show his name. So now I clearly see on my computer that there is a metro Atlanta County Court that has a divorce record in the state of Georgia between him and his ex-wife. So I did what any rational person would do, because this is still kind of COVID time. Well, not really. It had nothing to do with COVID. Let me take that back. Because of the parameters of the court, you can only do the open records request in person. I did what anybody would do. I told my boss I had to go. I grabbed my purse, grabbed my keys, and I drove to the court to do the open records request in person. The open records request was for the divorce documents. Go back in the story, in the series, and remember I did a background on the ex-wife. I told you all exactly what was told to me. He met her in California. He married her in California. He divorced her in California because she cheated on him. He filed for divorce. She tried to get spousal support. It was going to be a little ugly. He was helping her with the kids. That was the story that was told to me. So went to the court, filled out the paperwork, got the open records request for the divorce decree, for the divorce records. First thing I see, he didn't file, she did. Second thing I see, they didn't make it more than 6 months. I see the date of marriage. I see the date of dissolution, 6 months. Third thing I see, he was served in Metro Atlanta, which means that at the time of the divorce, he was living in Metro Atlanta. California was never mentioned. Fourth thing I see, he filed what is called a pauper affidavit. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to do my best to explain it real quick. Basically, he filed an affidavit with the court saying that he is so poor, he could not afford the fees to pay for.
What? Wait. What? Hold up. What? No. A pauper affidavit? Oh, my.
Pauper affidavit. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to do my best to explain it real quick. Basically, he filed an affidavit with the court saying that he is so poor, he could not afford the fees to pay for a divorce. He couldn't afford a filing fee. He couldn't afford a service fee. That is what a pauper affidavit is for. All of this is in the divorce documents. She had filed. She said it was irreconcilable differences. She was not requesting any money whatsoever. And both of them had signed a pauper affidavit. He was served in Georgia at his previous employment. According to the divorce documents, he was served at like a grocery store. That is what was listed as his employer.
What? Wait, what happened to the building behind NCR? The $90,000 BMW? What happened to the offshore account? The pro football? What happened to all of this? He was at a grocery store. Wait a damn minute. I can't breathe. What? Oh my gosh. Hold on.
And it had a date of when he was served. So I see all of this in one day. I also see where on the divorce documents, she listed her name, her address, and her phone number.
Okay.
So I did what any rational person would do. I wrote down the phone number. There was a 50-50 chance that the number was already disconnected. She could be like me. I'm one of those people. Honey, you can sneeze at a 27-degree angle. I will change my number so quick, you ain't even know what hit you. You can talk to me at 5 o'clock, and at 5:05, my number has been changed. So she could have been like me, and the number is not even active. Or she could be like some people I know who have kept their number since kindergarten. Either way, I wrote the number down. I left the court, and I immediately went back to work. And the same friend who helped me when I had my miscarriage, I told her, I was like, I got this phone number. This is the ex-wife. She was like, girl, you better call. You better call and find out from her. Because I think she said to me, can't nobody tell you what is going on quite like the ex-wife. So, part 28 is the phone call that I had with the ex-wife. Part 28 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So, I got the phone number, went back to work. My really good friend was like, you better call her. You can use my phone, but call her. So I called her. She answered. I'm going to use aliases. And the conversation went like this. May I please speak with Barbara? This is Barbara. Barbara, this is Shirley. Shirley who? This is Shirley Jones. I am the wife of Legion. Silence. Then she starts laughing. And she said to me, and I quote, "If you were calling me, then I know it's bad." I chuckle and I said to her, "I'm not trying to bother you. I'm not trying to disrupt your life. I said, I am literally coming to you on some woman to woman shit. I said, because you are probably the only person who can help." She listened. She was gracious. And she said, "What is it that you need to know? Or what is it that you want to know?" And I said, "I understand that you and my husband talk and communicate." And she immediately said, "What? No, we don't." And I said, "Okay." She said, "One thing you need to know about Legion." She said, "Whatever he tells you, it is a lie." And she said, again, let's go back to part 1. I told you guys that when he introduced himself, or when we met, we actually had matched on 2 different sites. And he was under 2 different names. One was like the actual birth name. The other one was a nickname variation of that name. That's the name I know him by. So for example, if his name was Matthew, he had a profile under Matthew, and then he had a profile under Matt. I would have known him as Matt. So she said to me, she was like, "I don't even know who Matt is." She was like, "That's not even his name." And so I knew what his actual government name is. She was like, "No one calls him Matt." She was like, "That must be his new personality." Or she was cracking a joke, but she was like, "Anything he tells you, you need to know is a lie." So I just asked her, I said, "What was your experience?" I said, "Because I can tell you the story he told me." And she stopped me right there. She said, "Whatever he told you was a lie." She said, "Let me guess. He told you I cheated on him. Let me guess. He told you that I wanted money from him." And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Yeah, that's a complete lie." So we had a conversation where she told me how they met. They didn't meet online or anything. I said, "Well, were you guys ever in California?" She said, "No." She was like, "That man ain't never been past the East Coast." So I said, "Okay. So you guys have always been in Georgia?" And she said, "Yeah." She's like, "We got married in Georgia and we got divorced in Georgia." And that's when she asked me, "How did you even get my number?" She said, "Because I want nothing to do with him. So how did you get my number?" I said, "I'm gonna tell you the truth. It ain't gonna make me look good." I told her, I said, this is what happened. And this is what led to me doing research. And this is how I got your number." And she laughed. She was like, "Wow." She was like, "Normally I would be freaked out." She said, "But under the circumstances," she was like, "Wow, okay." She said, "Yeah, if you're calling me, then it must have gotten pretty bad." She said, "So what did he promise you?" And we talked for about 35 minutes. She asked me in that phone call, she said, "Look, I want nothing to do with him. I have not spoken to him since our divorce was finalized." She said, "So I would just appreciate if you keep me out of whatever's going on with y'all." And I told her, I said, "I give you my word, I will never tell him I spoke to you." I said, "I give you my word." I said, this conversation is for me. It is not for me to use in any sort of
Did she
legal
mention
litigation,
the
nothing. This is for
daughter,
me. And
the alleged dead
I said, I don't
daughter?
plan to call you again. I don't plan to be a disruption in your life. I just needed to know, how bad is it? And she paused and she said, "It's bad." She said, "I don't know what all y'all got going on." She said, "But if it's anything like what it was for me, it's bad." So we talked a little bit more. She was very encouraging. She was like, "Girl, do not blame yourself." She said, "I went through that and I had blamed myself." She was like, "This is not on us. This is on him." She was like, "He is a master liar, a master manipulator." She said, "I ignored the red flags." So she was like, "Do not feel as though this is on you." We talked about there's an ex-girlfriend that shares the same name as his aunt. She and I talked about her. She said the reason why they broke up, because the ex-girlfriend, I didn't know this, the ex-girlfriend had reached out to her about 6 months before he met me. And so the ex-girlfriend lived in Douglasville. On
What?
Legion's driver's license, he had a Georgia driver's license with the Douglasville address. What he told me was that it was the address that his sister, because remember I told y'all his sister Shantae lives in Douglasville. She's a nurse, married with 2 kids. So he told me that the address on his license, it was his driver's license, was to Shantae's house. The ex-wife is telling me, no, that's the address for the ex-girlfriend. He had moved in with her, and he created this whole narrative with her. She found out that he was lying, and she kicked him out. And so I guess after she kicked him out, she then reached out to the ex-wife, kind of the way I did for confirmation. And so the ex-wife was just telling me, whatever that man has told you, it is a lie. She said, I got out before it got too bad. She said, because once I knew he was lying, I was out. She was like, because he's never going to change. And so, again, conversation went on. And so finally, we were getting ready to get off the phone. And before we got off the phone, I said to her,
I'm sorry for your
I
loss.
said, if everything is a lie, I said, I have one question for you. And she said, sure. I said, how is your daughter? I said, how is your daughter?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is going on? Okay, this is the part we've been waiting for. This is the part we've been waiting for. How is your daughter? How is your daughter? Yes.
Next part coming up.
Okay, part 29 here. Oh my word.
29, who the fuck did I marry? So I asked her, how is your daughter? She said, my daughter's fine. And I said, okay. She said, what did he say about my daughter? And I will be honest with y'all, I didn't have the heart to tell her. So what I said instead was, oh, no, it was, with everything with COVID, I think you mentioned that she might have had COVID or was exposed to it. I downplayed it bad. I wasn't going to tell that woman that he said her daughter passed away.
Yo, this dude is sick. How do you say that about somebody's child? Yo, this dude is sick. And listen, you don't know the depths to which a person's insanity and depravity are. I hope she got the hell out from underneath the same roof as he did.
So I said, obviously I'm glad to hear that kids are fine. She said, look, whether you stay with him or not is your choice. She said, he ain't gonna change. He ain't gonna change at all. She said, this is what he does. She said, you're not the first. You're not gonna be the last. She said, he did it to me. She was very, very encouraging because she was just like, you do not blame yourself. She said, we both ignored red flags, but it is not your fault. She said, this is on him. And so we, once again, I thanked her for her time, got off the phone. I took the long way home that night. I could not be around him. I could not be around him. I had to figure something out. I had to figure some things out. So I took the long way home. What does that mean? It means that I probably could have taken 75 to 285, but I probably took 20 to 75 to 285 to 675 kind of like I just took the long way home. A couple of days later, because my mind was spinning. A couple of days later, at this point, I'm turning into the FBI, CIA, and Homeland Security all in one. Literally. I'm trying to find everything. And he's carrying on his business as usual. Nothing changed with him. He had no idea that I had spoken to the ex-wife. He had no idea I had gone to the court and saw his divorce documents. He had no idea. So a couple of days later, I decided to look up his mother's obituary. Look up the mother's obituary. And down at the bottom where it talks about, she's preceded in death by, and it lists all the people, the family members that died before. And then it says, leaving behind to cherish her memory. It lists the husband, her husband, excuse me. Let me start over. It lists her husband, which is Legion's dad. It lists Legion's brother that lives in Philly and his wife, because again, this is she passed away in 2015. So it lists Legion, the brother in Philly, and his wife and daughter, her granddaughter. It lists Legion and his wife, I think it was like Latoya or something. It did not list the ex-wife I just spoke to. And it clearly said Legion, his wife, Latoya. Then it listed the brother in Nashville, his wife, Jane, or whatever. So I'm thinking to myself, there's two things I was thinking immediately. Number one, who is Latoya? Never heard that name before. So I was thinking, who is Latoya? And then number two, where are the two sisters? Shantae and Kim. Shantae lives in Douglasville, married with 2 kids. Kim lives in Augusta, and I believe he told me she worked at like Procter & Gamble. So why aren't they listed on here? Because apparently, go back to the video. I posted it on there. I gave y'all background on the family. He apparently was one of 5 through both parents. Brother in Philly, older brother, younger brother in Nashville, an older sister in Douglasville, and a baby sister in Augusta. So why is it on his mother's obituary there's only three children named? Where are the 2 sisters? So I'm even more like, what in the hell is going on? And then I started thinking to myself, why wouldn't they list Shantae? Like, they talk all the time, so I know that they're close because he talks to Shantae all the time. So I really was confused. Again, keep in mind, I'm trying to give y'all insight into how I was thinking May of 2021, because I still didn't find out a lot of stuff at that time. I found out enough to figure out, okay, it's not a question of if he's lying. That was over. It's not a question of if he's lying. The question now is becoming, what else is he lying about? So we had the phone call with the ex-wife. Now I see an obituary that apparently there's another wife. I know on our marriage certificate, it only states he had one previous marriage. I had 0, he had 1. So this is how I'm thinking in my head, which is, okay, what am I missing here? I know we've established that he's lying, but who the fuck is LaToya? Like, I'm really trying to understand who is LaToya. And again, he's hobbling around the house, limping. And I'm in our bed, well, in the bedroom, I could not get on Google fast enough to try to figure some stuff out. So, see the mom's obituary, study it. And at this point, I'm now trying to figure out, okay, what's the game plan? What is the game plan? And that's where we are about to get into the next part. Okay, part 30 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I'm going to use this as a clarification video. So we're going to use part 30 as a stop. Let's clarify some things. I've done that before on a previous set of videos, so I think it's just important to do that so that way I can try to address some of the things that I have seen in the comments, both supportive and just downright mean. But let me clarify some stuff. Number 1, it is important to remember that I am telling this entire story of how I met, dated, married, and divorced my pathologically lying ex-husband. I am going in chronological order of events. So what that means is that, ma'am, sir, whoever you are, if you were coming in at part 30, but you have not seen part 11, some stuff is not going to make sense. I know. It is a long playlist. And don't worry about watching the video as soon as it comes out, because everything, I'm trying to do this responsibly of telling the story in the order of which things happen. So I say that to say, please, if you're able to, start at the introduction disclaimer video. Start with part 1 and then just watch each video, because a lot of the questions people are having that I'm seeing in the comments, and I say this respectfully, is just because you did not go to the other videos and watch them in order. That's just the first thing I want to say. It is important that I get this story out, but that it's done, like I said, responsibly. To me, responsibly is being honest, even if it makes me look bad, but then also trying to be clear and not ramble all over the place. So I'm trying to take the time to tell you, this is what happened at this time. This is what happened at that time. That's why there's so many parts. And we're not even to the part of the divorce yet. We're almost there, but we're not there yet. Second thing I want to clarify. I cannot stress this enough. My family and my friends did not know what was going on between Legion and I. They did not know. My family only knew, we've met this guy. He's dating our daughter, our niece, our cousin, our granddaughter. He seems to be a really nice guy. He seems to really love her. From what he has told us, he's done well for himself. He played football, and he has worked at this company 6-7 years, and financially he is in a good place. From what we understand, he just moved here from California. That is what they knew. They did not know about the red flags I had. They did not know what was going on in my head. They did not know what was going on in my heart, because I did not want to look stupid. I'm fully aware that when I tell this story, I look stupid. I'm aware, and I made my peace with that. But at the time, I did not want to look stupid. So it was important to me to put on everything's great. We're really happy. We're looking for a house, and everything's going well, knowing full well that behind the scenes, I couldn't figure out why he wasn't showing proof of funds. They did not know. So I say that to say, I see the comments about how my aunt gave me horrible advice when I called her about this sexting on Facebook. And I want to clarify something. She did not tell me to stay with him. She did not tell me to leave him. That's not her place, and that's not what she would do. She simply was in shock that any of this had happened and did not know what to give me advice on. The one thing that she did say was, look, he's not your boyfriend. Meaning, it ain't as simple as, oh, we just gonna break up. Pack your shit and go. Because you married him. Ma is the most ride or die chick I've ever met. You fuck with me, you fuck with her. And she is straight Jersey. So I love her for it. But I need it to, it's not fair for me to leave it out there as if, oh, she just was like, girl, I mean, go home and deal with it. No. Never in a million years. So I want to clarify that. I also want to clarify about my mom. So my mom lived in Arkansas, and when she came to visit in April, we were already married. This is her first time physically meeting Legion. My mom will tell you she had no idea anything was amiss, but there was something that nagged her a little bit. She didn't know what it was, and my mom is the type where she's going to get on her knees in prayer. That's who she is. So for her, it was like, I don't know what it is. He seems like a nice guy. He seems to love my daughter. Because again, there was no arguing in the house. The house was peaceful while she was here, even though behind the scenes, we had just came off of the whole sexting incident with other women. So for her, it was like, I don't know what it is. She did tell me later on that it seemed as if I wasn't as happy as she thought I would have been. But again, she took it to the Lord in prayer. And her prayer was, God, protect my child. I don't know what's going on, but protect her. That was my mom's response. So she did not know. She did not pick up or overhear something that was going on while she was here. She had candid conversation with Legion, and Legion kind of came across as, I miss my mom. He missed his own mother, and so he called my mom, and doted on her. Again, putting on a charade. And so for her, it was like, bless his heart. That's what she said. Bless his heart. But no, she did not know the specifics. Nobody knew the specifics. They didn't know the specifics until we're talking May, June of 2021. They knew that we were looking for a house. They knew that the house fell through. They did not know about the proof of funds. They did not know that he wouldn't show me the savings account, the offshore account. So I just want to say that because to me, it would be irresponsible to not clarify what family and friends knew, because these people have always been supportive of me, always had my back. I just simply did not share with them the things that I felt like were red flags, because again, my mindset at the time was, I want to be married, and what if he isn't lying? And I was making excuses for him to myself, so I definitely would have made excuses to family. Another thing I need to clarify, and I saw the comments on this about how a VP would never date someone that looked like me, and to the person that wrote it, that wasn't very nice. I need you all to understand, the relationship started in March of 2020. He came into my life as regional manager. Okay, that is how he came into my life. Then eventually he got promoted to VP of production or operations, some VP of something.
VP of
That was later on in the
mustard.
relationship. He showed me the paperwork where it was basically a memo from HR. Your new position title will be VP of production. We'll just say production. Your salary, I don't remember the exact amount because it was a very specific amount, but it was over $200,000. It listed some of the benefits that he would have. He would have an office. He would be getting an executive assistant. That's where we get David from. If you don't know who David is, please go back and watch the series in order. He would be getting an executive assistant. He would be getting use of a company helicopter. He would be getting a company car. That is where we're introduced to the fact that he was starting to shop for a company car that could not be more than $90,000. That's what he told me. I didn't see this in the memo, the amount of the car, but that's what he told me. So that's where you get the car shopping for the Range Rover, the Jaguar, the BMW. He even test drove a Mercedes GLE, I believe. So I'm just trying to, again, bring some clarity to this so that way we all can understand what's going on. And hopefully this just makes a lot more sense for everyone. All right, part 31. Part 31, who the fuck did I marry? So I found his mother's obituary online. It then told me, it listed his brother in Philly and his wife. It listed Legion.
So we were supposed to stop at 30, but I'm going to play a little bit more.
And then it said his wife. I took the name from the obituary and I did a Metro Atlanta court search with that name. I found a divorce record. I found a divorce record with Legion and the same woman's name that was in the obituary.
What?
In that divorce record, it looks like he's the one that filed for divorce. This would have been around 2016. This was after the mother's death. He filed for divorce. She was the respondent. I think that's the correct terminology. Both had a temporary protection order against each other. He had one against her. She had one against him. The divorce ended up getting granted, finalized. Then it looks like he went on his way. In the course of the search for her name, I discovered that at one point in time, the two of them had lived in Rhode Island. So that's the connection with Rhode Island, because for the longest time I could not figure out who lived in Rhode Island. That's where that came from. Okay. The two of them, he and this woman, lived in Rhode Island several years prior, or a few years prior. I could not find the obituary for his dad. I searched and I searched. I could not find the obituary for his father. For whatever reason, I knew his grandmother's name. I just randomly decided to do a Google search of the grandmother's name. Initially, nothing came up because I was looking for the grandmother's name in Philly. Nothing came up. I looked for the grandmother's name down here in Georgia. Found a record, but it was not. It wasn't quite clear. What was clear was that she had died several years prior. So what I found was a different website where it was like a legacy.com type thing. So I believe legacy.com holds old obituaries. Did a search for her name, found a match. That is when I discovered that she actually had passed away in July of 2008. Read the caption of the obituary and verified that in fact it was his grandmother. Because at the bottom of it, again, obituaries tell you a lot. It names who she leaves to cherish her memory. So it lists all the different family members. It lists the brother in Philly. It lists Legion, no spouse, and then a brother in Nashville. Once again, it did not list the two sisters, Shantae and Kim. So I'm even more like, okay, clearly something, is up when it comes to Shantae and Kim. But what I do know is that he has talked to them multiple times in front of me. So I'm not sure what I'm missing. Maybe some family feud happened. Honestly, I don't know. So that is how I discovered that when he told me the grandmother died from COVID and he was crying, boo-hooing and all that shit, she actually had died in July of 2008. I found this out the same time that I found out about allegedly, and I say allegedly because I'll explain, allegedly the first wife, or at least what I think is the first wife. So while all this is going on, Legion is almost bedridden from what happened with his knee. And I need to take a moment to address this issue with the knee. Again, the story started, he hit his knee. Then it turned into, it was an old football injury. And this has happened before. He's going to the doctor. The doctor's telling him to ice it and to elevate it. He eventually moves into the guest bedroom to be more comfortable. I'm going to make this statement. This is probably the only time I will make this statement. He was not lying about the injury that he had. I don't know where the injury came from, but what I do know was he was not lying in the fact that he was in pain. You could clearly see that he was in pain, and the pain was becoming debilitating. Please understand what I'm saying. The pain was debilitating enough to where he was taking my pain meds from when I had the miscarriage. And then also, it was hard for him to walk. He was not eating. So this is what made me believe this, whatever was going on with the knee, there was more to it because he was not eating. When I met this man, he was a size 3X. At this point in time in May, he's down to a 2X. He is not exercising. He is not doing anything mobile. He's simply not eating. So there definitely was something going on, something concerning. Honestly, I thought it might.
There was some Ozempic going on. That what was going on. Listen, if he gonna cry about a grandmother who died in 2008, claiming she died of COVID, anything is possible. We don't know if he was really in pain. Stop it.
Have been cancer. But he kept saying, no, it's not that. It's from a football injury. It's from a football injury. I said to him, the next time you have a doctor's appointment, I want to go. It was that bad. And he kept making excuses like, okay, fine, I'll make the appointment. I'll let you know what it is. Cool, I will take off work. I want to be at that doctor's appointment because whatever is going on with you is serious to the point where you are losing weight rapidly within a 2-week span. So now we can go ahead and enter into June. When we enter into June, I have read the divorce documents for not one wife, but 2 wives. I have called San Diego State, verified they have no record of him. He claims he was a private citizen. I don't believe that. They're saying there's no record of him. I have pulled his background.
Oh,
it is showing
goodness. That it's time for us to take a movement break. We're going to just let this video end, and then it's time for us to get up and move.
You've lived in Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Georgia. When I look at the addresses, it is tied to at least 2 women, both of whom I'm showing divorce records on file that you had. I've also verified that your grandmother actually died in 2008 and not in 2020 from COVID. I know all of this as I'm going into June. His birthday is June 17th. So all I've been doing is just trying to figure out what is it I'm going to do. I spoke to the pastor and his wife. I believe it was actually the pastor I spoke to because I knew the pastor previously before he did our marriage counseling. And I told him what I found. Mind blown. Had no idea. He knew something was up. He knew that Legion was not really trying to make this marriage work. He had no idea all this was going on. So he asked me, are you wanting to stay or do you want to end the marriage? I said, oh, absolutely, I'm ending it. Oh, hell yeah, I'm ending it. I have to. I have to end it. I have no idea who that man is in my guest bedroom. Not to mention, on top of all of this, he had lied about the death of the ex-wife's daughter.
Yeah.
Part 32. Who the fuck did I?
All right, so listen, we have got to get up and take a movement break. Let's see what music we are going to. What style of music should we listen to? There are many different styles. Let's choose one. Let me give you all some. There's pop, jazz, electronic, hip hop, funk, country, rock, classical, R&B, soul, disco, acoustic. So from those, choose something. Let me see if there's any more. Oh, there's some more. There's some more. Oh, my gosh, there's a lot. There's a lot. There's more than I can name. Dark wave, choral, two-step, big beat, deep house, pop punk, punk rock. You all say the same thing every break. Let's choose some different music. We got African continent, we got soul, gospel, neo soul, praise and worship, ska. Oh wow, isn't ska that music that they listen to out in England, like the reggae called ska? There's bossa nova, mariachi, reggaeton, rumba, salsa, tango. There's calypso, cumbia, flamenco, horror, crime scene, boogie, new disco, tip hop. I've never heard of any of these things. I never heard of bagpipes. What in the world? Marching band, military and historical, oompa? Hold on. Oompa? I gotta hear what oompa is. I gotta hear oompa, y'all. I gotta hear oompa. I will not be able to rest unless I hear what oompa is. Let's see what oompa is. Okay. Okay, I see. So this is kind of like circus music, oompa. This is, oh my goodness. All right, let's see. There's something called bounce. Hip hop bounce, hip hop drill, drift funk, Detroit trap. Detroit trap. Let's see what Detroit trap is. That sounds interesting. Let's see. All right, listen, we're going to listen to some Detroit trap. For all, this is a shout out to all of you from the Midwest or the North. Listen, we listening to, come on. Come on, get about your seat and move. Stretch and flex your back. Move and stretch your back. Come on. Movement on. Listen to this Detroit trap. It's better than the oompa. Come on. Listen, I will see you all in 2 minutes. Get up, touch your toes, stretch your arms. It's important because we've been sitting down for almost 3 hours and we are in the final stretch. It looks like there's only a few more videos. So all right. And then after this, we'll play we'll look for some 70s bounce then after this. But you gotta get up. This don't sound like 70s bounce. What's this?
Find the words.
No, we're not finding no words that you got. No, sorry, sir. No. Let's see. I don't know about this, y'all. Hold on. Let me just go to the straight hip hop bounce because I don't know what this they doing.
It's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a
Listen,
comma.
get up and throw it in a circle. You know what to do. Listen.
It's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
All right.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma.
If you don't get up to that, then I don't know what you will get up to. Man. Hey. All right. Hey. All right. All right. Hey. Let's go ahead and check these apples. If you're enjoying the broadcast, go ahead and throw up these thumbs up. Listen. Whew. It is very important for you all to get up and move. When I say move, when I move, you move, just like that. That was fun. Okay, let's check these apples real quick. Here we go. What's that I hear? Hey. All right. Aura sent through $2.24, and she says, change jobs and her friends change jobs. What? I feel like we missed something. Did something come before that? Okay, change jobs and her friend change jobs too. I don't know. Did her friend change jobs? Claire sends $10 and says, finally watching this with my knockout friends. Hey! Claire, did you get up and dance? I know you like to dance, so I know you got up. and was moving. That was a good one. That was a nice high beat one. I added that to favorites. We're going to have to listen to that one again. All right, let's get back to the story. We in the, oh, that's loud. We in the final stretch. So let's go on ahead and see. We're going to see this through. I'm going to change the titles on, because we're at the final parts of, we probably have like 5 minutes left on this broadcast on her video, and then we're gonna have to find the other ones, because this one, it doesn't go all the way up to 50. It goes only up to maybe 33. So we'll see how far we get in this one.
I'm married. All right. So we're now in June. By this point in June, I have been offered the new job, accepted it, put in my 2-week notice at my previous job, and was going to be starting the new job later on in the month. So when he laughed where I told him I wanted to get a new job, that laughter fueled me to get a new job. So here's what happened the beginning of June. At this point, he's completely bedridden. When I say completely bedridden, what I mean is, I'm trying to clarify this so it makes sense. From what I see, he is going to work, but he's calling out a lot more. Okay. So he had already left the condiment company and was working for Apple. So he's calling out quite a bit because the pain is pretty bad. So he's hardly eating at this point, hardly. For example, if I were to say, oh, I ordered a 10-piece wings, he's eating 2. And that's it. That's all I would see him eat. I was going to work and come.
You know what? He probably went and got that gastric sleeve, and that's why he was in pain, because he went and got surgery for something else. That's why he wasn't eating. Come on. Anything is possible with this guy.
Home, the house was in the exact same place that it was when I left. Nothing in the kitchen had been moved. Nothing in the refrigerator had been moved, which led me to believe that.
If you need to send me something, go to TonyaTKO.com, click on contact, and then we're going to get as far as this video will take us tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to come back and finish this off, because this is more than a little bit. I don't know what's going on.
He had not left the bed from the time I left to go to work until the time I came home. At this point in time, he's drinking Powerades like it's water. I mean, I'm buying cases of Powerades. And that seemed to be the only thing that he was taking in. So if he was a 3X when I met him, he's probably at a 1X, maybe a 2X.
So she's taking care of him, bringing him Powerades, and she knows that he's lied about all of this stuff. Oh my.
Depending on the clothes. He's lost a lot of weight because he's not eating. So that's the reason why I say he wasn't faking whatever was going on. I think the issue with his knee was a symptom. That was not some football injury. That was not, oh, I hit it at work. It wasn't that. Something else was going on. I had kept asking him to, let me know when you have a doctor's appointment. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with you. And he just kept saying the doctor, he's calling the doctor, and the doctor told him to just keep icing the knee. But I knew better. What was happening was I didn't care, because of all the stuff I was finding out. So beginning of June, he is in a bed, sleep, and I get his phone. I ain't gonna lie. I got his phone. He had a work phone and he had a personal phone.
I thought you didn't care.
It was the work phone that he had from the condiment company that apparently was never turned in. Follow me. It'll all come out. So he still had the work phone. It was deactivated. But he did not wipe the phone, if y'all know what I mean, take all the data off. He did not do that. So I look through the phone and I see this would have been text messages. Text messages between him and a woman named Peaches. I go back to the beginning of the text messages. This is on the work phone. This is the beginning of June of 2021. I go back to the text messages the beginning of the text messages between him and Peaches. Yes, that was her name, Peaches. I'm reading the thread because he's knocked out sleep. So I'm in the bathroom with the door locked, reading the thread. And what I can tell is that he met Peaches on POF. If you don't know what POF is, it is Plenty of Fish, a dating website. He met Peaches. I saw the messages in June, so he met Peaches around February. Met Peaches from POF.
Right after they got married.
And apparently Peaches was, there's no nice way to say it. Apparently Peaches was a prostitute. So the reason why I say that is because in the text messages, she's listing the prices. So he asked for a hand job. This is in the text messages. She told him it would be like $40. He asked how much would it be for oral. She said it would be 60, because it was 60 and 80. One was the price with a condom, one was the price without one. So no messages after that. She sent a picture, he sent a picture. No messages after that. So in other words, these messages were not back to back every single day. There's breaks in between the messages. So like a message was in March, the next message is in April. A message in April, next message is like 2 weeks later. So he's asking her the prices. Next message I see would have been from a few weeks prior to the date of this. So this was the beginning of June. The message is from sometime beginning of May, where he is thanking her and says to her, you know, thank you so much. That was really great. I hope I can see you again.
Let me hold these. Let me hold these right here in my hand, cause oh, hold on.
Then there's messages where she said, hey, basically she was at a new spot. She must have moved. So he said, okay, I'm gonna come through. I'm gonna come see you. He's asking her to confirm the address. He was like, is it the house with the brown trash can with a white car in the front? She says, yes. So I'm thinking he was actually in front of the house when he's texting these messages. Then again, he does whatever he does, and he sends her a message a few hours later saying, thank you. That was great. I'm reading all this. And I will tell you guys something that you may or may not understand. Some women may or may not understand it. The cheating didn't even faze me. Didn't even faze me. I didn't cry. I did not feel like, what did I do wrong? I was relieved. The reason why I was relieved is because up until this point, I kind of struggled a little bit on whether or not, God, you know, I know, Lord, you hate divorce, but I can't stay with a guy that lies. So when I saw the cheating stuff, I was like, oh shoot, thank you, Jesus. Okay. Cause I know my Father in heaven's going to forget the fact that I'm divorcing for infidelity. Go ahead. It's fine. Jesus will forgive me. So I was relieved, to be honest with you. Like, oh, okay.
Hold on. So Jesus hates divorce, but is it lying against the 10 commandments? Isn't it? Oh my goodness.
I got grounds now, bitch. That's how I felt. So saw the messages, forwarded the messages to my phone. Or excuse me, I had to take my phone because the phone was deactivated. So I kind of had to do a little ghetto, hold the phone up, take my phone, and take pictures of what I see on the phone, so that I would have proof on my phone. Then I put the phone back and continued on. Now in the next part is the day that he gets kicked out. And I will tell y'all what happened.
Oh, it looks like, hold on.
Part 33, who the fuck did I marry?
Okay, so you know what? The person who was going to send me the link, it looks like we just went straight to another link. It's not the same page, but I hope these people are as good as the last people.
June 17th, 2021. So you guys have been on this ride. You now know exactly what information I did have. The morning of June 17th, which was his birthday, he was in the bed as usual, Powerade bottles all over the place because I wasn't in the mood to clean. And so I went in his room. He was awake. He was watching YouTube on his cell phone. He watched a lot of YouTube, watching these two guys that always were fixing Jeeps on YouTube. And if I saw them, I would know exactly who they are, but I can't remember their name. It's a popular show on YouTube. Anyway, so I go in there and I just calmly sit on the edge of the bed and I was like, can we talk? And he was like, yeah, what's up? I said to him, Legion, obviously I called him his name, Legion. I said, I'm gonna ask you something. I just want you to be honest with me. So he starts, I can already see in his eyes, he's about to get defensive. And I was like, calm, because this is the tone I had. Calm. I said, you never went to San Diego State, did you? He rolls his eyes and he's like, I said, calm down. Watch your tone. I said, you never went to San Diego State. I said, you never lived in California, did you? And he said, of course I lived in California. He's like, I fucking showed you the house I had in California. He said, I told you about San Diego State. I was a private citizen. My dad paid for me to be a private citizen. And I said, okay. I said, I called San Diego State. And he looked at me. His eyes were like empty. Like he wasn't shocked. He wasn't like, oh my God. He was just more like, okay. I said, they have no record of you. I said, they have no record because you never went. You never been to California. So at this point, I'm very calm. And I'm just stating, I said, you never been to California.
This woman playing with her damn life. This woman playing with her doggone life.
I said, I bet you've only lived in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. At this point, now there's a little emotion behind the eyes. And I said, I don't think that this is going to work. And he said, what, the marriage? He was like, so what you saying? You don't want to be married to me anymore? And I said, I don't want to be married to you anymore. I said, we need to go our separate ways. We tried, but we need to go our separate ways. The way that I'm talking to you all is exactly how I was talking to him. And so he was like, that's not what marriage is. Marriage is, you have to fight for what you want. I said, I don't want this. And I don't want to fight for it. I said, I don't want you, and I don't want this. And so he was like, I'm not giving up on the two of us. I said, you don't have a choice. I said, I think that you should call your brother or your sister now. And I think that you need to pack a bag. And I think you need to get the fuck out of my house. And he was like, I don't really have time for this. I don't feel well. I said, I don't care. You need to get out of my house. Again, the way I know y'all are going to be like, she's so dramatic. And in real, I am actually a very dramatic person. But the way that I'm talking to you guys on this video is exactly how I was talking to him in the beginning of how this started. So I said, you need to call your brother or call your sister because she's in Douglasville, and you need to go stay there. You need to get out this house today. Basically what happened was at first he refused. He wasn't moving fast enough for me. And so he called his aunt, and his aunt was on speakerphone. Let me preface that. She was on speakerphone. And so she was like, what's going on? And he was like, my wife don't want me no more. She claimed that I'd be lying to her. I ain't never lied to her. When I heard this, what's the analogy I can give y'all? When I heard him say to his aunt, I ain't never lied to her before, something in me snapped. The best analogy I can give you, do y'all remember that movie Carrie? When she was at the prom and everyone was laughing at her. The blood had fallen down on her. And there was a moment where her eyes just went wild and you knew something was about to happen. You just didn't know what, but y'all had pushed her too far. When he said to his aunt, I ain't never lied to her, I snapped. The calmness left. The amount of rage that was in me. I could have fought every member of the Kansas City Chiefs and beat every last one of their asses. I could have fought every member on the Atlanta Falcons and beat every last one of their asses. I'm not a violent person, but I was there. That statement, I ain't never lied to her, took me there. I went off. I went off. I went off so bad that first of all, every part of me was shaking. I called my mom. My mom was on speakerphone, and she's in Arkansas. My mom's a praying woman. I was cussing like a sailor. My mom finally said, put him on the phone. So I gave him the phone, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking around the room.
I thought I was prepping myself. How many of you all seen that movie with Vivica Fox or I think it was Vivica, and the guy was in the shower, and she put baby oil on the floor. And when he stepped out that shower, he slipped, and that belt got to whooping. I really thought she was going to whoop him. But she got on the phone with her mama and started praying.
It's the scene that I remember is the Angela Bassett scene in Waiting to Exhale, when her eyes are darting around the room right before she grabs everything to put it in the car to set it on fire. I was more so looking at what weapons were in the room. The lamp, the TV, the dresser. I was looking, while she was talking to him, my eyes were darting around the room, because if he did not get his ass up and get his shit and get up out of my house, it was going to be bad. If I have never in my life been on TikTok and said, had it not been for the blood.
Okay, that was Regina King. What movie was that? Okay, yes, I remember now. Yes, it was Regina King. She put baby oil on the floor. He stepped and fell. She started cracking that belt on him. I don't condone violence.
Y'all, I know this is going to sound dramatic. I know this is going to sound like, girl, you so funny. You don't understand. Had it not been for the Lord on my side, had it not been for the fact that I know I got a praying mother, I know I had a praying aunt, I know I've had a praying grandmother in heaven, because I'm telling you, I clearly saw what was getting ready to happen had he not gotten up, got his shit, and got out of my house. So I'm trying to calmly say this because I'm trying to calmly tell this story because the rage had taken over me. The pure, unadulterated rage that I felt when he said to his aunt, I ain't never lied to her, after I had discovered only 2% of the lies at that point. Just 2%. So it was enough for me to be like, you need to get your stuff and go. So my mother gets on the phone and she says to him, Legion, she called him by name. She said, I am not there to control my daughter. She said, in the name of Jesus, get your stuff and get out that house because I think she might kill you. Get out of the house. She's on my phone. His aunt is on his phone. His aunt said, nephew, come home. Home for her was Philly. She said, I'll send you money. Come home. Leave that house right now, she said, because I think that woman is about to kill you. Let's just go to part 34. Let's all just take a deep breath. Part 34.
Should we watch part 34 now or do this tomorrow? Because this is a good spot to stop at. Or we can just satisfy our curiosity and just watch one more. Okay? So let's take a vote. Oh no, we're at 2 hours, 2 hours and 56 minutes. So we do have to stop. Because Facebook doesn't allow videos longer than 3 hours to be live streamed. So we are going to have to stop. Oh my goodness. This was a roller coaster ride. Let me check and make sure I got all of the apples. Let me check the PayPal. Listen, it's time for the pop quiz right now. So if you are new to my channel, we give self-love lessons at the end. I'm going to read them on screen. All you have to do is type SLL so I'll know that you're typing out for the self-love lesson. And I want you to, this is the structure that we're going to be doing it in. You're going to write out what is the lesson that you learned about a new way that you can deepen your love for yourself, a way that you can be more in alignment with self-love. And what you're going to talk about is what you do want. So we're not going to use words like don't, never, not, don't even, don't, not that. We're going to talk about what we do want. So rather than never marry a liar, we're going to say marry someone who is truthful. So you understand? So I'm going to check the PayPal while you all get your self-love lessons ready. This right here was a doozy. I'm stunned by what it is that we heard. So now we're up to, this is part 34. So we watched up to part 33. And it looks like the PayPal is clear. So we're going to pick this back up tomorrow because we are at the 3 hour mark and we are broadcasting live on all of the platforms and Facebook has a 3 hour limit. So I see somebody saying, yes, let's watch, but we do have to get out of here. So let's go ahead and get us some music up in the background. Type SLL and let's see what the self-love lesson is. I'm going to look for I want to see some rock music. Here we go, rock. All right. All right, so let's see those self-love lessons. Come. Put myself first and always look at the red flags. Yes, I like that. I'll put myself first. Yes. Even a hard day's work is better than let's talk about what we do want. So let's take the word bad out of there and let's talk about what we do want, okay? Practice fine-tuning my discernment, trusting my intuition. Yes. Listen to my gut instinct. So we're going to talk about I and my instead of you and your. So let's talk about I and my. Love myself enough to walk away from danger before. Okay. Stay vigilant. Discernment is key. I will always follow my intuition. I trust myself enough to listen to my intuition about others. I trust myself. I'm going to listen to my goddess-given woman intuition. I promise to love my sexual healthy. I don't understand what that means. Be with a married, genuine person like myself. I will do background checks early. Loving myself helps me. Let's take away avoid. Let's just talk about what we do want. Loving myself brings in loving relationships. Love someone honest and good at communication. Yes. I listen to my intuition. Listen to my instincts. Yes. I love it. that. That was pretty. That's too slow. All right. Continue to learn. Oh, come on. All right. Listen to myself the first time. Listen to my instincts. Continue to learn my communication style. I attract honest living, self-introspection, and awareness. I promise to love my sexual health. Okay, perfect. I will seek and align myself with people who have integrity. I will always love myself in a marriage or relationship. That's perfect. That's perfect. I will realize at times my common sense trumps my emotions. One chance is enough. I know that's right. Listen, because he got so many chances. My goodness, this was a roller coaster ride for sure, for sure. So tomorrow, if you're not on the text notification squad, join the text notification squad. The link is in the description. Go to TonyaTKO.com. Click on text. I'll put it here, www.tonyatko.com/TEXT. It's $1.99 I typed it wrong. Give me 1 second. Let me copy and paste that. Copy. Let me see if I could delete that message. Nope, can't delete it. So I have to just type it again and delete that and put an M. There we go. I just put it in again. TonyaTKO.com/text. It's $1.99 a month plus some fees, or $22 for the year. And you get a text whenever I go live. So you'll get the text tomorrow when we come live and finish up this series, because we are at 33. We just finished up 33. So let me update the title, part 16 to 33. 16 to 33. Update the title. All right, this was a lot of fun. Get your popcorn and your drinks ready for tomorrow. I will send you a text when we're getting ready to go live. And so, you know what? Let's go out to some bounce music. Why not, right? Why not? Why not? Why not? Let's see if we can find some bounce, because that was fun. Let's see. Alternative hip hop, adventure, horror hip hop. What is horror hip hop? Okay, we're gonna listen. Let's listen to some horror hip hop real quick. Let's listen to see what horror hip hop sound like. Oh, this is not bad. Okay. All right. So let me talk about my self-love lesson. So listen, go out there and love one another. Most importantly, love yourself. And I'm going to say, part of loving yourself, my self-love lesson from all of this is really about taking my time. Taking my time, observing, paying attention, asking questions, and loving my time with myself, so that I don't, let's not talk about what I don't want. Loving my time with myself so that the people that I invite into my life are an addition, an extension of my self-love. So yes, absolutely. Because, far too many of us, especially women, we spend so much time wanting a relationship to save us and do all of this stuff for us, when in actuality, we really have to focus that inward. All right? Horror music to match this horror of a marriage. I know that's right. This is something else. All right. I'll see you all in the next video. I'll see you tomorrow. Angeline was falling asleep anyway. Man, this was something else. Verification Squad, Adara, see you all tomorrow.